I hate my partner for having long COVID. He neglects me.
He needed it short, not long.
I feel like I am stuck in a rut with my partner of 7+ years. We got married in December 23, and the first year has been a really long, back-breaking test. By the way, this comes from user KookieTrust7463 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. We met in our mid-20s via friends and started dating after 3 months of knowing each other. It was cute and flirty, and stars and sparks were flying everywhere. As it is in any new relationship, the spicy sleep and the vibe were great.
Nice.
Exactly a year later, we moved in together, and I had become the mother in the relationship. Oof. That's moving in with your partner is always, that's a big test.
That's the test that stands on time.
I did most of the cooking, cleaning, and organizing. I also had a 6-day-a-week job while he worked from home even before the pandemic. I grew resentful. Additionally, he stopped being affectionate towards me. The spicy sleep was non-existent. Another, catch-22 of, moving in with your partner. Everyone always goes oh, yeah, the spice is going to go crazy.
It goes crazy.
It usually goes the opposite way.
It goes crazy for, the first, once you guys settle in, after that, probably, a week to 2 weeks, and you're I'm tired.
And why is that? I don't know. Let us know in the comments why that is. We had a spicy sleep maybe once per quarter. Mind you, we are still 25, 26, and had more energy than we have now in our 30s. I also realized he would text his ex and a girl he met online and dated before me. They only met once. The texts were sort of suggestive, but I thought we're still young. Men text me in a similar fashion, and I play along if I do find it worthwhile to maintain that contact.
Okay.
I mean, there is, I get what she just said. I can understand there is you don't want to necessarily cut off every single person who sends a flirty text to you. But at the same time, if the husband's the one
I would
initializing it.
I mean, I would if I'm
okay, but what if it's a coworker and it's now if I cut this person off, it's going to completely destabilize my work life because now it's going to be dramatic. And whereas you could just not engage in the flirtation and let it go.
You're in a relationship. Just hey, I love you or I like you, but as a friend, let's not be.
No, I'm not saying ignore it.
Oh no, I would just be let's lean back here on being that as flirty as we were, or it's just you're kind of, that's a very thin ice kind of thing. You're on the tightrope of is this shit?
I think him initiating the texting is
not a good thing.
That's
not a good thing, especially with the person, especially with the culprits that he's doing it with.
You can't call out every man because let's be honest, they're all the same. I also spoke to my ex. Nothing like he did, I realize now, but I did because we had a history and I missed him when things got bad with my current man. So it turns out
this is all bad. This is all
you're
so
the same
bad.
as every man. Then is that what I'm hearing?
They just don't do that. I don't like any of that.
Yeah.
That paragraph was all not good.
Let's not do that. Fights about the distribution of work were a weekly occurrence, but I stuck around. Dating is hard. Finding a decent man is harder. Everyone has issues, and we all need to work them out. Can't always bolt. That's what I thought. The next year, he met that girl he was seeing online before me. We lived in a different city, and she lived in our hometown. We both belonged to the same town. They spent the evening together. I checked his phone. That's how I found out. Wow. I didn't say anything. The texts only said, quote, "Thanks for having me over. Good fun." I prayed it was only a casual meeting. They had met and developed a connection online before he met me. Then she cheated and they decided to part ways. There was unfinished business there. I was hoping they only met to hang out and come to peace with what could have been. I pray nothing happened. This is a mess. This is a huge mess.
You didn't confront him.
Well, this is all in the past too. This isn't even the main story. This is pretext.
This is
context.
Just break up. Just break up. You're 1 year into your relationship. You're basically mamaing him, and you don't have a good relationship with him, unless if you want to fix that right now. But he looks like he's cheating.
To this day, I don't know if anything happened. I confronted him years later, and he said that they only hung out for a little bit, and then he came home. He deleted their chat, so I'll never know. Well, that tells you everything you need to know right there. Honestly. If you delete the chat, that's you indict yourself.
And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Even though you know exactly what he's talking about. I don't.
Over the years, I felt uncomfortable in my relationships. I always let it go because I feel like my parents had a terrible relationship and I'm just hoping not to be them. Doubtful and bickering all the time. I thought cooking and cleaning was an issue with me and that if I provided a solution instead of bickering, that would help us move forward. About the woman, I thought, so what, he spoke to women who he was more than friends with. Am I that insecure? I should mature because there will be many who will make me uncomfortable. After the pandemic, we got closer to our 30s and had matured. I still had doubts, but we had more happy days. Intimacy was always an issue, and he even said that intimacy was not a big deal for him. It broke my heart and I felt like I was in the pits. But many friends tell me they were in similar boats and that your intimacy levels stop matching after the honeymoon period. I carried on.
It just seems like now you're just settling.
It's like you guys are like barely in
a relationship anymore.
Yeah, and you guys are already in like a dead marriage. It's been like a couple years. That's from the sound of it. It's like, I don't know. If anyone said to me, it's like, yeah, the physical intimacy in a relationship that literally doesn't matter to me, I'd be like, okay.
It matters to me.
We might not see eye to eye on that. In December of 2020, he was let go from his job. He decided to move back to his parents' house. It was an abrupt decision. He didn't discuss it with me. He just told me. I was gutted to lose him, but I was okay to live alone and maintain some distance from him too. I was always in a relationship in my 20s, and this break without a breakup was a good option. I was mature, and the distance would help me not be so dependent on him. I was depressed when he left, but I was also looking at the bright side. I exercised more. I had more time to do girly things instead of just couple things, which was mostly what the boys wanted. Watch live sports, smoke up and discuss politics, etc. Those are not dates.
Yeah, wait.
You're like, I could do girly things instead of couple things like watching sports and discussing the Roman Empire. Those are boy activities.
Yeah, wait. We were doing a couple things like hanging with the boys.
Yeah, like
what?
That's not what couples do. It sounds like this guy, sounds like you've had a real bad relationship with this guy.
This doesn't sound like a relationship at all.
There's no give and take here. We met every 2 to 3 months. Either he or I would visit. At the very first visit, I saw him chat with his college friend that he had a massive crush on. They had almost gotten in a relationship, but life had other plans for them. They had been friends for over a decade, and so I swallowed that bitter pill and didn't let it bother me. It was just a friend. They had been friends for a decade, and despite the crush from both sides, they had only kissed once after getting a little intoxicated. He bragged about it before we started dating. I thought, so what? Friends talk. You need to stop thinking so what about everything.
You're like, that's fine. You're brushing it under the rug or the carpet.
I mean,
that's not okay.
I guess the context is that it was before they were dating, for sure.
But now he's doing it. He's doing it now.
Dating, you were like, yeah, I made out with that girl.
OP, these are blatant red flags in front of you that he's consistently talking, and he looks so. It sounds like he looks like a little like enthralled to be talking to these women rather than talk to you.
He seems to not be staying true to his like, oh, I don't really care. It's like, well, then why do you seem to have crushes on all these girls?
Why do you get so giddy when you talk to these girls?
Yeah.
Why are you talking to other girls like this? I mean, I like how OP's like very like laid back and trying to be mature about it. Like, oh, he can talk to other girls, but there's a line of like he's had a crush on her. Oh, he has a past with her, or like he deleted the text. There is some context where like you can be chill and like be very understanding and not, overbearing, but this is bad.
A few months later, he went on a trip with 2 of his friends to the mountains. I had never met these friends. They were from his college. It was a week-long trip, and in the middle of it, the girls joined them. My partner said it was a surprise to them too. I too was alerted when this happened. He sensed it in my voice, I think. He told me she was sleeping in a different room and that she was being pricey, demanding some special food and drinks that they didn't have. I was gutted and we had a fight. He assured me that I was crazy for thinking such a wild thought. So I calmed myself down and I thought he was telling me all this, so why would he have a fare and tell me about their trip? He then told me that they met a couple of times and that was that. It just keeps getting worse. 3 months after his trip, he visited me. I slyly checked his phone and realized they slept in the same room with another friend present. The texts were about the third friend's snoring habits. I was livid. I confronted him. He told me that he was sorry for lying, but he only did it because he heard how upset and quiet I sounded when he told me she was coming. So we've got lying, we've got maybe cheating, we've got no intimacy. That's 3 big strikes for me.
He seems like he just doesn't care about you at all, OP.
Yeah.
And I think the list is going to get a little bit longer here with what we know.
He told me to check his phone and see if there was anything to point to any wrongdoing. He said that he lied, but there was nothing going on. I checked his phone and realized that they chatted every day, late into the night. They met 2 to 3 times per week. They played badminton together. They sent each other selfies. I am feeling sick while typing this, but the biggest revelation was his substance use. We smoked only as a couple, only the devil's lettuce. He had told me that he had tried some adventure previously, but nothing ongoing. It was only at one party in college. He liked it, but that was not our scene. In the text, I realized they are discussing more serious substances that he did at a New Year's party after the trip. He said that he felt sick and will stay away from it, which is my advice to everyone out there. Stay away from illegal substances.
It's illegal for a reason.
In the text, I also got the sense that he flirted with her and that she only reciprocated. There was also never a mention of me. Break up. You break up. How do you stay with this guy? You break up. This isn't even about him having long COVID. You hate him because of all this.
This man was doing more coupley things with this woman than he did with you, OP.
Yeah. He's playing badminton and sending selfies.
He didn't even do that once with OP, it seems like.
Yeah. What the heck?
That's what I'm saying. He's getting giddy about these other women.
Maybe she thought he was single. How could I blame her? I was shattered. After so many years of dating, turning a blind eye to all the red flags, I was finally opening my eyes to a reality I didn't even think was possible. Who the F? I'm not even going to say that one. It's like I didn't even know him anymore. I cried my heart out. I felt sick, and I don't think I will ever be able to process it. Anyway, over the next few weeks, he tried to assure me that nothing of that sort had happened, that he would stop talking to her, and if I wanted, he would even text her saying that my girlfriend is uncomfortable with us and our dynamic. It calmed me down, and I didn't ask him to do it, but I felt better. He wanted to save the relationship. He said that he would give me full access to his phone and that I could also demand him for a urine test anytime I wanted. He was sorry for the suggestive text and for the substance use. He said nothing bad happened with her and that it was flirting from eons ago that had suddenly continued. The substances, he said, was an odd peer pressure where his friends from college that he loved hanging out with started doing it, and he thought, why not? I was slowly convinced.
Dude.
He then went back, and I was going to see him in 45 days. He maintained all the promises. When he met his friends, he got a urine test, and I could see he was clean. He only texted her once, only in response to her incessant meme sending. She didn't meet him. I saw a therapist who spoke in Barnum statements, but asked me to find my self-worth and eventually what is important to me. The relationship was important. I had given it 7 years now. Younger people live in the moment, and my single friends were miserable and desperate. I needed the relationship. It did make me feel secure. He's a nice man. He's smart, knowledgeable, and kind to all people. Yeah, especially his ex-girlfriends. I found myself a job back home and moved to our hometown. I told my parents about him and that we wanted to get married. My folks were tentative, but when they met him, they liked him and were thrilled. Despite being old school and opposed to the idea of different religions marrying, they were very accepting. I took that as a sign of a better future. And I stopped therapy. Oh, God.
So
when we fought, I brought up this incident. I could sense he felt guilty, and I think that is a better way forward. We got married end of last year, and it was fun for a few days. Intimacy was still a big issue. Girl, I wish I knew you because I would have told you not to marry this guy.
Get out.
That was such a not good idea after everything that we've just read here.
Especially, it seems like you've brought these up and he just doesn't care.
Well, and it's, the thing for me is outside of, just with OP's thing, marrying somebody because it's just like it feels secure. That's not why you do that. But after his trip to the mountains, he got COVID and developed some nerve issues. He started having panic attacks and developing involuntary muscle catches with any repeated motion. Many tests later, doctors are unable to figure out what it is. But it means that spicy sleep, which is nothing but repeated motion, is now out the window completely. Am I the a-hole for hating him for this long COVID?
It's definitely not the COVID.
So
From
if
the,
you, I'm
from
going
the context we got, this has nothing to do with that.
if you actually just hate him because of the long COVID, yeah, you are an a-hole. But like Keon said, it's everything before the long COVID
You
that
hate.
should inform your opinion about this guy.
Don't blame the long. You're like, oh, that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
If I found out that I was dating a girl who was like, I don't know, having secret badminton sessions with her ex-boyfriend and sending selfies and
Text every
doing all this and
day
doing all
into the late
every
night,
day,
and he's
like
not
they're
doing,
still dating?
and he's not doing that with you, his actual partner.
Yeah, immediately leaving. Life is still the same. I do most of the work, and we haven't had spicy sleep in 4 months now. He also takes heavy medicines to keep the long COVID in check, which makes him drowsy all day. We can't go for a walk or play any physical games because of this illness. We also don't sleep on a regular bed, but on a hard surface with no mattress, which makes even cuddling a big challenge. Are you sleeping on the floor? What are we doing? Is that for the long COVID? I'm so confused. Even stirring a spoon causes an issue, so I do all the cooking and cleaning. The worst part is I've never spoken to anyone about this, no friend, no family. The therapist's professionalism didn't help me connect, and past their 30s, it is hard to even meet a friend, let alone tell them this childish nonsense from half a decade ago. And by the way, you can join us for a half decade, a whole decade, for the entire foreseeable future. Every weekday at 3 p.m. PST when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok. Just tap on our profile and you're in.
There's so many blatant red flags that OP was just like, that's fine.
Right.
And then I think it all just piled up to COVID, and now I can't be with him, and I have to do all this for him. You were already doing all of that.
Let it be known, if you see red flags in a relationship, it's best to not ignore them. It's best to address them as soon as possible.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I want to be the cool girlfriend or the cool partner. I'm like, you can talk to those girls. Like, it's not right, but like, I don't want to be like jealous. I don't want to seem jealous or like seem like I'm crazy. But
yeah,
there are times where we're like, no, that's just not right.
Oh, well, let's finish this off here. I feel like I lost my youth for someone who cares zilch about me. I am not a high libido woman. I just want to be desired once a month at least. Am I crazy to expect this? We've only been married for a year now. How am I assuming the role of a caretaker already? He is not evil. He constantly apologizes for his illness, but I feel like I am in a rut. Can someone tell me what to do? Just tell me. I can't do this anymore. I constantly I constantly think about taking some of his sleeping pills to calm myself down. Did the substances cause his illness? Is it really long COVID or self-inflicted? Please help me. You can't hate this guy for having an illness. You can hate the amount, that it wears on you, like that he can't help. But really the problem here is that you married this guy when you knew in your heart that it was probably not a great thing to do. You looked past all of the red flags to marry this guy, and now you find yourself in a situation where you're very unhappy.
Like I said, take away the illness, he's still the same guy. I mean, yes, the motory and like sensory stuff, but he was not doing that prior, and he was still a little baby boy, and you were taking care of him. Like, again, at the very beginning, you were like, oh, we moved in together, and I'm mamaing him. Like,
yeah, that's not a good sign.
That hasn't changed. It's been stagnant, and I feel like you haven't conversed that problem, that issue with him It's at least from what we read that
It's-
you didn't call him out. You're like, hey, you know, this is happening. This is not gonna work. You just like, okay, he's not gonna do it. I'll just keep doing it.
The issue needs to be pushed. And at this point, I think it's time to divorce. I think you're in an unhappy marriage. I don't think that your partner's going to be able to meet you halfway.
No.
So
on the
I
borderline.
think you need to not, you don't need to blow up about it, but I think you need to approach your partner and be like, I think we would both be better off not married.
Yeah. That's fine, and that's okay. And I know
And
you're
things
scared.
will get better for you.
I know you said, "Oh, I'm scared. 30s, I can't make friends. I can't meet people." Well, you can totally meet people. You could totally make friends. Don't sell yourself short.
Go play some badminton.
Yeah.
My veteran husband hasn't been the same since the birth of our child. He neglects all his parental responsibilities.
You gotta take care of your kids.
Pretty much, yeah. Throwaway account as my husband is on Reddit. I'm not, but I need advice from someone other than my family. Here's the backstory. I, 38 female, and my husband, 40 male, have been married for 12 years. We are from the same little town in the Midwest. Our families went to school together. I skipped a grade, so we graduated the same year. By the way, this comes from user Suspicious Clock 7711 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, after high school, he joined the Army, the infantry. I went to the community college about 45 minutes away, so I could save money while living with my parents. He'd come home on leave, and I'd see him out and about, so of course, we started chatting. We were really good friends the last year of his service. He got out and came home, and soon after, we started dating. Dating led to marriage. All of this was great. We were married 3 wonderful years before we had our son. Now to the downer part. When my then friend, now husband, got out of the Army, he filed for VA benefits, and surprise, surprise, he was denied. From what I understand, most people are denied the first time. During the 3 years before our son was born, I insisted that he try again, but he didn't. So I watched idly by while my husband struggled. Not just with his hip that he needs replaced due to service, but also with the invisible stuff. I started noticing slowly, driving a different direction because there was a box in the middle of the road, or always choosing the table we sit at when we go out. Little things that were easy to not notice until I did. All of this took a drastic turn as soon as I was pregnant. He didn't want to attend appointments. He did not help prepare for our child. He did not change our son after I had him. He wouldn't even help feed him unless it was already made up and I propped the bottle and baby up next to him while he played his video games. He just checked out almost completely.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's a big, I mean, I don't even know if I can say switch up, but like.
Yeah. Well, it's clearly there's something,
Yeah.
there's a mental health
Yeah,
crisis going
must
on there.
be.
It got worse. Oh, no.
Oh.
He got a job working out of town and left for a month at a time with only a few days home, sometimes a week. He quit that job, did full-time school, got a degree, didn't use said degree, and went back to work at the same place with the same schedule. The years passed by. He treated me more like one of his little soldiers and not his partner. There was no compromise. Things had to be his way. His hip was getting worse, and so was my depression.
It's so hard.
Our son started showing me the signs that he didn't want to be around his dad, and the only reasons he did like to hang out with his dad once in a while were, and I quote, "I like to play video games all day, and dad gives me candy." I mean, that sounds like a pretty sweet setup for the kid, not gonna lie.
It's like,
As
I
a
guess
kid,
fine.
that's sick.
Yeah.
The man was barely feeding our child meals. He did not understand how to play with our son, nor did he want to. He lacked basic parenting skills like being sure to bathe our child, change his clothes, etc. He would watch Scarface, American Sniper, and other adult movies while our son was a toddler and in the same room. During this time, he didn't teach our child anything, didn't help him learn words, except dada, didn't help him to walk. He missed it all. 3 years ago, I finally convinced him we needed a couples therapy or I would have to leave. The therapist and I convinced him to reapply with the VA, and he finally got approved.
Thank
Hey,
God.
there we go. A sliver of light.
Yes.
He started hitting couples therapy every week, and he made sure to go to his
Woo!
individual therapy 1 to 2 times a week in addition to our couples therapy.
Amazing.
The beginning of this year, the VA gave him some sort of personality test or whatever, and he is medically flat or has a flat affect. I can't remember which way it was stated, but the gist is he lacks emotions, which apparently is common in military members, especially those in combat territories like my husband was. I don't know. This is what we were told, though. It did make sense as he has a very dry sense of humor, so much so people closest to him can't tell if he's joking or not. And in May of this year, the VA told him he's getting his hip replaced, finally. The couples therapy has been great for him, but not for me.
Ugh.
There are so many hurts that he has caused me. I don't know that I can just forgive him. He's still hurting me, not physically, but I know he's sick. I do not trust him with our child. I do not trust him with our animals, and I do not trust him with my feelings. And now, as of basically last month, he's starting to go back to his old ways of checking out on his life and checking into his video games. I doubt he'll come back, and I'm maxed out on the mental load. Here's the problem. Oh, there have been
So many.
There
There's
have
more?
already been a lot of problems. While he was outgrowing his career, my career took a back seat, a far back seat. I have a part-time job and it pays minimum wage. It's the only job I've found in my small town that will let me bring my kiddo to work when I need to. But honestly, there just aren't that many jobs available to me in my little town. I blew all my savings, roughly $15K, on paying the hospital bill for having our son, which is absurd. My whole support system is here. All my siblings and both sets of my parents are here. They're the ones that have been stepping up to help me. I've been very depressed. My family has been coming over to clean my house and start my showers, take my 3 dogs on a walk, and make me meals. Even my son is asking me why I'm so sad. I just can't get out of bed anymore. I've started antidepressants this year, and that's been a roller coaster in itself. If I leave, as my name isn't on anything except my son's birth certificate and doctor bills, I'm not going to get anything. I know I've been told by my family and friends I'll get half, but you only get half if you can afford to fight for half. His family is the predominant farmers/ranchers of the area and have a crap ton of money, plus an oil well.
Dang.
I think big money, old money, like the Duttons on Yellowstone. Well, now hold on. Where are they?
Yeah, why is no one helping with the therapy?
Where are they in this?
Where's this?
Any part of this entire story?
It seems like none of that money is.
Do your fiancés or your husband's parents
Would they cut you
not
off?
care about him at all? Meanwhile, I make minimum wage and come from a lower middle class family. The type of family that saves the margarine tub because we won't buy Tupperware and we usually make our Christmas presents at home. And by the way, you can join us live and make Christmas presents with us every weekday at 3 p.m. when we
weekday,
go
all
live
December.
on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, on TikTok. Just tap our profile and join the live. We might be live right now. His family has never really been supportive of me. They are very traditional.
There it is.
And I like having blue hair. I know they won't support my decision, and since I'm the one doing it, they would never place any blame on their golden child. If I stay, I don't know the best outcome, but I can certainly guess at the worst, and I don't like my guess. I've stayed this long, and I know he's in there somewhere. I guess I'm just looking for advice. Should I leave and let him handle this on his own? Should I grin and bear it so I can support him getting better? If I stay, how do I manage? On a very real level, the important thing here is the kid. You have to think of the child. Think of the children. It totally makes sense that you want to leave. I don't think anyone would be like, it's not right for you to want to leave. You've been dealing with this for almost a decade at this point. The counseling was helping and now it's not. I think getting ahead of that, addressing that immediately is something that needs to be done. Like, okay, so now the counseling's not working anymore. We need to pivot back to a place that's helpful. Get to the other end of this tunnel.
Yeah. And I think on that, so kind of adding on to that, I think that OP needs to decide for herself if she is capable of fighting that fight, of, going through that all and making it to the other side. Because I think if the answer is no, I've spent years doing this and I just can't do it anymore. And also she's not getting any help with her kid, then maybe the answer is, one, we still go to his family and say like, hey, he needs your help. But maybe we separate. Maybe like for the time being, if you're not sure still about divorcing, you just separate, you take the kid, see if that helps him get better, see if he even wants to try. And maybe after separating for a little bit, you realize, we can work this out. Or maybe it's like, okay, it's not going to work out. We have to divorce.
Yeah. There needs to be a decision made.
Yeah. But that is the end of that story.
My daughter is getting married, and she wants her uncle to be the one to walk her down the aisle instead of her father.
Oh, well, good for the uncle, bad for the father.
It's probably the fun uncle. I, female 46, got pregnant with my daughter Sarah, female 26, when I was in college. My parents and my then boyfriend's parents pushed us to marry, which we did. My late husband unfortunately passed away a week after our daughter's second birthday because of a heart complication that we did not even know he had. It was a very hard time for me, and I went through a very bad depression. Yeah, wow, that's incredibly tragic. I'm sorry about that, OP.
That just like kind of took a turn right there.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll turn out of it right
Yeah.
now. By the way, this comes from user Beige Donut 19 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, 4 years later, I met my now husband, Robert, male 46, on a blind date set up by a friend. He was one of my best friend's cousins. We hit it off and got married a year later. Even when we were dating, he was very hands-on with my daughter, and it did not take too long for my daughter to call him Papa. Even after we got married and when I got pregnant 2 years into the marriage and gave birth to twins, male and female 17, he still acted like a father to Sarah. She was even included in my husband's family reunions and the cousin group photo shoot that my in-laws organize every Christmas. Things took a bit of a turn when Sarah turned 18. She started calling him by his first name, and both Robert and I were taken aback with the change of attitude she was displaying. I asked Robert what that was about, but he only shrugged, not knowing the reason. I thought things would go back to normal, but she has been consistent in calling him by his first name, so I asked her if we could talk. Robert asked if he could join, which Sarah agreed. To make things short, my daughter overheard my husband talking about a Father's Day trip to his friend who owns a hostel. My friend asked him if he forgot to include Sarah since my husband only asked him to prepare 3 bedrooms. My husband replied that he planned this trip for his real children only. It wouldn't make sense if Sarah was in the trip since he wasn't her real father. This made Sarah feel betrayed and hurt because she saw him as her real dad, even if she knew he was her stepdad. My husband tried to explain to her that though he loves her as a father, his love for the twins was different since they were his real children. I wanted to just shut him up because he was overusing the word real. But Sarah told us to leave her room. What made that day even more depressing was that this day was her last week with us before she leaves the country for college. Since then, every time she comes home, Sarah acts like nothing happened, but continues to call Robert by his first name.
Look at that. The dynamic has changed, Robert. You went from dad to Robert.
Honestly, she could have done a whole lot worse, I think. Hey, if that's what you're going to say, then that's what I'm going to be. You are now Robert to me. Robert didn't want to add fuel to the fire and just tolerated it. And now, a few years since then, my daughter announced her engagement to her longtime boyfriend. We were very happy for her as they have been dating since they were still college freshmen. 2 weeks before their wedding, we were wondering who would be walking Sarah down the aisle. I assumed it would be Robert since I thought we have moved past that incident, but no. My daughter scoffed at me when I told her about Robert walking her down the aisle. She said, quote, "I thought it was obvious that Uncle Greg, my late husband's brother, would be the one to do that. Besides, I'm not his real daughter. It wouldn't make sense if he walked me down the aisle." That's something you hold on to for a long time. Let's make it perfectly clear.
Yes. He could have just apologized. He could have said it before she left, maybe when she got back. You knew there was tension.
He could have easily said, "I think you're just as real of a daughter as my other daughters." All it took was one sentence, and he couldn't do it. If you can't do that, it must be because that's what you really feel. So he must have really felt like Sarah was less than his biological children. So that's what he meant. He said what he meant. And now you got to stand by it, Robert.
And you reap what you sow pretty much. And yeah, there you go.
Anyway, I didn't talk back. Instead, I apologized for my ignorance and told her that I'll speak with Robert about it, since he also assumed he'd be the one to walk her down the aisle. When I told him what Sarah said, he was pissed. But I politely reminded him of the incident years ago, which made him get even more upset. He said that that was a long time ago and that Sarah should move on.
Shut up, Robert.
Yeah, Robert, you don't have the right to decide that. And hey, look, the path of virtue is the path of forgiveness, and really, to better all of us, we need to be able to let go of things and move on from them. However, that's not something that you can expect someone to just forget when it comes to planning their wedding.
Especially if you didn't apologize for it.
Yeah, when you double down. So she's like, "You're not my dad. You said so yourself." So anyway.
But again, what do I always say?
My wedding, my rules.
My wedding, my rules. If you're not happy with it, don't go.
I, who was offended for my daughter, told him that he shouldn't even be upset since he doesn't see her as his real child anyway. He then got teary-eyed and told me not to speak to him. He still attended Sarah's wedding but looked visibly down. We still aren't on good terms and have been pretending in front of relatives. My daughter does not know about this, and I want to keep it that way. Nevertheless, it's been a week since my daughter's wedding, and Robert is still upset. He only talks to me about the twins and household stuff, but beyond that, he keeps everything to himself. I feel really bad and think he's acting this way because of me. So, without being said, am I the a-hole? No, you're not. In fact, you even said you politely reminded him, like,
You did this.
remember when you said she's
not
your real daughter?
Yeah. You're not the a-hole. And you respected your daughter's wishes and you see where your daughter was coming from. Again, I fully support it. It sucks if Robert tried to, lend out a hand and like an olive branch and tried to forgive. I mean, still not deserved, but at least it's out there. He still is on his high horse and he's still like his
Robert is currently pulling a classic, I feel like, emotionally immature male move, right? If I don't care, why does she care? And it's like, you can't see past your own nose, dude.
It's Robert's pride. Robert's pride is getting in the way of him. And you know what? That's your pride, but look where it's got you.
You might have still had the opportunity to fix it right then. When she said, obviously I'm not your real daughter, so why would you want me down the aisle? You know what, though? I'm glad you didn't do that, because you know what that would have been? A lie. Because that is how you felt. You said how you really felt. Anyway, let's continue, because OP's daughter, Sarah, is responding in this comment. Hi, guys. I'm Sarah. This is not my Reddit account. It's my cousin's on my bio father's side. I apologize for any grammar mistakes and spelling errors. My cousin sent me this post while my husband and I were packing some stuff up for our honeymoon earlier, and she thought it was my mom. My cousin is one of my go-to people, so she really knows every single drama in my life. We are really tight, and I was skeptical at first, since I would never have thought of my mom using Reddit. It's just too random, until I read the overheard part of the post, and it just brought back very good memories. On top of that, I noticed that the fake names used are based on the first letter of our real names, gave me confirmation that this is my mom, and I just want to say that I don't appreciate that some of you are calling my mom an a-hole. But I also don't think it's your fault, since mom left out a lot of details. Yeah, that's weird. I didn't think the mom was an a-hole at all in that situation.
No, she did the right thing. People have their opinions.
After I left for college in the States, a lot of things happened. My cousin, the owner of the account, was the one filling me in with details or updates. My mom and Robert had a huge fight regarding me. Plus, Robert always came home late and intoxicated from the cockpit. The twins, well, they were shielded from the drama because they were children. They kind of separated for like a year. My mom went to live with her parents. I was always in contact with mom, and she always asked for my whereabouts, normal mom stuff. She also kind of filled me in about her separation from Robert. I actually felt guilty because I knew it was partially because of me. Their biggest fight was when Uncle Greg, I will be using the fake names, confronted Robert about the incident, because when I arrived at my university dorm, I called him sobbing and told him about everything. Uncle Greg is the typical cool single uncle.
You called it. The fun uncle.
And has always been protective of us cousins. So when he learned about it, he went on full Papa Bear mode for me. Robert was kind of mad that he was getting into our business, but mom told Robert that Uncle Greg, actually my cousins and I call him Dad because he really is like our second parent, also has a say since this is his family. But Robert wasn't happy about that. So yeah, that instigated a big argument that almost led to Robert and Uncle Greg having a fist fight. They were already throwing unkind words to each other, and everyone was just emotional. When I learned what happened, like I mentioned, I felt guilty and bad, so I sent Robert an email since he didn't use Messenger. In the email, I told him that he should apologize to mom and make things right for the twins. I did not receive any response from him, but eventually he and mom made up after a year. I was quite happy because I really didn't want to ruin my mom's marriage. I love my mom so much, and I would do anything for her. You might be wondering why my mom did not initiate divorce. Well, first of all, divorce is still illegal in my country. Annulment is extremely expensive, and even if we were kind of well off, my mom's a physical therapist and a teacher at university, while Robert used to be a public accountant up until I was 16 and owns a commercial space, their pockets would have hurt, and annulment takes a lot of time to process. Today, I reached out to them and I told them that I wanted a proper conversation because this has been long overdue. I think that we all need some closure. Very emotionally mature on OP's part.
Yeah, more than Robert. Robert should be the one doing this, not OP or Sarah.
I do want to note that I have moved on, but forgive I don't think so. It pisses me off that Robert thinks I can just move on, forgive, and forget. It's hard to think that this was the man I used to call Papa. What's even more sad is that I still see him as my Papa. The pain I felt that day and when I started calling him by his first name. I even wanted to major in accountancy because of him. He was my role model. There was a lot of moments where I just wanted to go back to that day and pretend I did not hear anything and let it slide. Then maybe I'd still call him Papa, but I would be an idiot for thinking that because no matter what, the damage has already been done. So yeah, I'm contemplating if I would update you guys on our talk tomorrow. I've texted my mom not to look over the comments here because some of you are just brutal. Sorry, I just don't want my mom to feel bad. P.S. I want to add that both my mom and Robert paid for my college tuition. I did not get any loans or anything. Student loans are uncommon in our country. Parents are always the ones paying. I'm actually grateful that Robert helped pay, but that still doesn't remove the pain. My husband has been really patient and supportive. And here's a little trivia. We were classmates in high school. I was the talkative girl, the social butterfly, and he was one of the goofballs. And we actually fought a lot back then. And we eventually developed feelings for each other throughout freshman year. We were surprised that we went to the same university. We were both catching up on each other's lives, and the rest is history. And the mother's response.
We have a response.
Here.
Okay.
And just to speak really quickly on, just a little bit of the perspective of like being able to move on, but not necessarily forgive. Or, I think the real thing there is you want to get to a place where you can forgive and not forget. But it's like, that would be a really hard thing. I mean, in my own family dynamics and relationships, like I have stuff that I've forgiven. But like, it's not something you forget, right?
It's a phrase of like you drop a mug and you put it back together. You can put it back together, but there's still going to be cracks.
Yeah, it's just what's so obnoxious about this is that he had every opportunity to
single time
salvage that scenario.
He had time after time after time to be like, "You are my daughter," or like, "Let's talk about this." You just made it to get so much worse.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for your advice and comments. My daughter found and commented on my post, and we'll be talking about this tomorrow. She had just messaged me earlier. I was feeling tired today and couldn't sleep, so I was able to write this. I also want to thank the people for calling me out. I know I'm not the best mother, but I try. But yes, I am an a-hole for tolerating him. I don't know what's going to happen in our talk tomorrow, but I do want everyone to have closure. I also want to add that my daughter and I do not have a strained relationship. She didn't want me to walk down the aisle because then Robert would be pushing her to let him walk her too, since he thought we were a package. So yeah, for anyone wondering where my daughter's comment is, you can search for her username, Strange Birthdays 790. I will try to update, but it would be difficult since I know it's going to be emotional. And Sarah, the daughter, responds 3 weeks later. Hey guys, here's the update on our situation. It's been almost a month, but a lot has happened. We just got back from our honeymoon. Nonetheless, a lot of things happened. Robert was still doubling down and justifying his actions. We were running in circles and could not find any middle ground. This angered my mom, and then they had a heated argument that escalated to violence because Robert pushed my mom and said that he should not have married a woman with baggage. Oh!
What the hell, man? This man, Robert, you suck. You're scum.
Scum. Sarah also agrees because after hearing him say that boiled my blood and I immediately slapped him. I pointed my fingers at him and warned him not to hurt my mom. He was about to push me too, but good thing was my husband was able to block him for me.
I don't condone violence. Violence is always not the answer, but God, in the moment, Robert, that was well-deserved to be slapped at least.
If you're pushing my mom, things are going to get physical. That's like a human rule, I feel like. If you're pushing my mom, it's going down.
Any woman being pushed like that aggressively, uncalled for, things are going to get physical.
Yeah. You would like to hope that people step in, right?
So I just, again, don't condone violence, but
sometimes you mess around, you find out, dude. Things got a little physical. My husband and Robert were punching each other. My twin brother was trying to stop them. Uncle Greg was also present and tried to pull them apart. I, while in a state of panic, called the police as my twin sister tried to comfort my mom. Fortunately, the neighbors heard all of the commotion and helped pull my husband from Robert. At the police station, Robert and my husband were still verbally degrading each other. The police asked a lot of questions, but to shorten what happened, Robert admitted to pushing my mom harshly. My mom did not want to file a restraining order on him since it was the first time Robert had physically tried to harm her. We encouraged her to file, but she said that they would start processing an annulment instead and separate. Robert admitted that he was still gambling, and their savings from another bank account, which was supposed to be my siblings' college fund they wanted to follow on my footsteps and study abroad, has been nearly emptied because of gambling debt. Just when you thought he couldn't get any worse.
You know, when he was doubling down somewhere else too.
You got a 19 on the blackjack table. Hit me! I know the 2 is there. Come on, dude.
Ugh, Robert, what are you doing, man?
And he loved his own daughters so much that he spent all of their college savings on gambling. My mom went ballistic and started cursing him because most of the money was from her. Oof. Furthermore, the twins don't want anything to do with their dad. He will be paying child support until they go to college, though he has to find a job because he is broke. He's been secretly leeching off my mom's hard-earned money for almost 2 years now. My mom filed an annulment 2 days later. We had to cancel our flight during that day because it was too much for me. We fortunately booked a ticket with the help of my husband's friend the day my mom filed and flew to our destination a week later. But I want you to fly to our destination, which is here on this stream every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, on TikTok. Heck, do all 4 of them. All you got to do is tap our profile and you're in. Robert has graduated from the Orc Cloud. I want him to turn into spaghetti and no longer exist in our universe, which is what happens when you hit the black hole. You get spaghettied. This guy's awful. The audacity you have to think you could get away with pushing my mom in front of me. If you push my mom in front of me, I'm tackling you through the cement. Whatever object is in front, you're going through it. Sorry. I don't condone doing that, but don't push my mom.
Don't. How stupid do you have to be to do that? To do everything that Robert did is all big dumb moves.
Pushed your wife, alienated your first daughter who loved you, and then spent both of your biological children's college funds on
That was
gambling.
Your wife's money, by the way.
Yeah, that wasn't even your money. That was your wife's. You spent your wife's hard-earned savings that was supposed to be for a college fund on gambling. That obviously you're not even good at. Because you lost all the money.
So you lost everything. Congratulations, Robert. Yeah. You deserve nothing, just like the black hole you're going to be in.
Got exactly what you deserve, which is now nothing.
Good on the kids that dad sucks. OP, dad sucks. Sarah, dad sucks.
Fully in agreement, Robert. You suck.
You suck. And that's what? Get what you deserve.
You know what? When Alpha Centauri becomes a black hole, you're the first one that's getting thrown into it. I'll tell you that much. Anyway, let's finish this story. Our relatives on Robert's side, surprisingly, support my mom. Though Robert will be staying at his parents', they are disappointed in him, according to my aunt, Robert's sister, but he was still their child. My mom understood them and minded her own business. My husband and I had a great honeymoon. We haven't heard much from Robert. The twins entered their last year of high school. So yeah, this will be our only update. I have told my mom that I'll be deleting her Reddit for the sake of her mental health. Thank you, everyone, for leaving kind messages, and God bless. And that is the end of that story, and I'm so glad it doesn't involve Robert at all.
My twin sister's fiance is my bully. I don't want to go to her wedding.
Don't go. Boycott that wedding.
As you might notice, I'm the snarky one. I have 4 older brothers and 1 twin sister, Violet. She and I are both female 31. We were an oops baby. And then the WTF babies when mom found out her oops came with a spare.
Crazy.
Wow.
You're not expecting a baby and
then
you
get
two.
2 for 1. BOGO. For all intents and purposes, I am the spare. My parents did want a girl. They wanted a girl. Big difference. By the way, this comes from You Throw Away During Frodo on the ROK Storytime subreddit. So, mom tells the story often that Violet came out quite easily. Hardly any labor, but Lily was trouble the moment she was born. So over time, I just was like, F it, I'm in trouble, then I aim to misbehave.
Okay, all right.
We're not identical, and Violet is absolutely beautiful, feminine, bright, and bubbly. She's goddamn Jean Grey of the X-Men, practically. I'm more of a rogue. Not the classic one, more like the cartoon reboot from the 2000s when they made them all teens and Rogue was standoffish, self-sabotaging, and goth. I'm only goth on Tuesdays, but I did have a streak of time where I self-sabotaged. Teen years were a beep, am I right? And when you're the least favorite girl of 6 kids, 8 if you count the dogs.
Dang.
Your self-esteem tends to tank. Violet was the first at everything. First to walk, talk, all that. According to my parents, but then she became the first to date, the first to get awards and do a show. And hey, it's because she's a kick butt. My sister is the most brilliant woman I know after my mom. I'm not kidding when I say I look up to her a lot. She's almost effortlessly everything people like, and I always just a little ray of gloom. Okay, anyway, we were really close, and I didn't really notice us drifting apart truly until high school, and by then I had my own problems. One being effing Daniel Swift. This sloppy knob was always picking on me. He and his crew made school and community events absolute heck for me since grade school. When we were young, most adults said that it was because he liked me. But by the end of middle school, it was real clear the dude hated my guts. He always compared me to my sister and had to point out how inferior I was. Even when we were small, he would be confused as to if we are twins. Why is one of you pretty and the other isn't? By middle school, he had a name for me. It's to do with my in real life name, so let's say for this, it's Lumpy Lily. Just a name to remind me that I was fat. Looking back, I know I wasn't. Puberty hit me fast and hard, and boom, baby got back. He was relentless, and his friends were too. I told on him once because a teacher found me crying as I was forcing myself to throw up in the bathroom during practice.
Why this man is terrible. Oh my God. I'm now understanding the title.
Yeah.
I understand now. This guy sucks.
Oh my gosh, is he the fiance?
He's the fiance.
I don't know how, but he managed to turn it around on me, saying I was bullying him and his friends vouched for him. So I got suspended from the team during the season and had to write an apology letter in detention. What the heck? Like what?
Like, oh yes, this small lonely child must be the bully.
He once slapped me and I went to tell, but he denied it, saying I punched him in the stomach and he turned on waterworks and his friends said they saw me hit him and call him a loser. My parents were so upset with me and my dad had to leave work to pick me up. He didn't believe me at all that I didn't do these things. He would rant that I'm not the only kid and I need to stop being so much trouble. So I shut down, kept my head down, and didn't bother to say anything.
Aw, this is so sad.
He called me the defective one, the spare, the botched clone, everything he could think of. Some were admittedly clever, but all were cruel.
Wow, your family sucks. I take it back. I think that your feelings are valid. Your family really sucks.
But I really want you to love yourself.
Yeah, regardless of that, still love yourself and still do affirmations.
When Daniel picked on me, I would ignore him. And if I couldn't, I just endured it. I really hope that this was Daniel saying these things.
I hope it's not your dad. I mean, it sucks if
don't
it's
wanna
Daniel,
believe
but
that it's
I
her dad.
really hope it's not your dad.
Senior year, he wasn't around much, and I heard his mom passed away. It was the first year I was without his constant teasing, and it was the best year of my life. Ooh. I feel terrible, but I was so glad he wasn't there, even if it was because of something so awful. I myself could never imagine enduring the loss of a mom. I got into some hobbies, even made a good friend, Sunny, now female 31. Well, you made it past the prologue. Good work. So here's the actual issue. Oh, geez. Fast forward to now. I live a state over and have my main job as an educator. I love what I do. It feels good most of the time, but hey, this ain't Disney. Sometimes being a teacher sucks raw, rotten eggs in the summer heat, to be sure. Wow, I've never heard that description.
Hope's writing is fun.
Raw, rotten eggs. This is fun to
visual.
read. But I get to be the adult I wish I had in the room when I was young. Sunny lives a city over from me, which in all honesty is a mere 20-minute drive in traffic. So we see each other often. Yeah, that's pretty nice. She's easily my best friend. Violet and I are still close. And same with my brothers, but we're all 30 plus now. Some with kids and spouses and full lives, so we don't talk much. Violet and I would have calls and sometimes FaceTimes. My sister is incredible. She became a nurse, but quickly realized she wanted to be a nurse practitioner, and now she's out there helping people in need by donating most of her time outside of work at the shelter in our hometown.
What's the difference between a nurse and a nurse practitioner?
Nurse practitioner is just like a level above nurse. It's kind of like a doctorate in nursing. And so you have more responsibilities. Sometimes you can prescribe medications.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I knew you were the right person to ask.
She looks after our parents and makes sure they have all they need. She owns a house, has an Etsy business, a blog, heck, a TikTok.
She's killing
She's
it.
kicking butt. And I couldn't be prouder. Last year, she was all excited because she thought she found the one. She called him James. Every picture of him, he's this big ex-military dude with tats and a beard and those douchey big sunglasses some guys never take off to save their lives. No shade if you do that too, but if you also own a truck as well and have a "come and take it" sticker on it, a teensy bit of shade. Because James did.
Yikes.
Who has "come and take it" on a truck?
Come really like he's like, I have the right to bear arms.
Yeah.
Come and take it. Don't tread on me.
Yeah.
It's all of those stickers.
Interesting. What? You think I wasn't going to cyberstalk my only sister's the one? Then F out of here. I stalked the crap out of him. But he had no socials other than a LinkedIn. What a professional. Interesting. Former Marine, then contracted himself out before owning his own full-time business consulting. I was happy for my sister because she really was the woman who had everything. But what she wanted was to fall in love and have that chicken flick romance when you kiss and your leg pops and get married, have babies, ride off into the sunset, get kissed in the rain, and all that sappy crap. I get it. And my sleuthing came up with nothing to naysay James. And I wasn't going to yuck her yum on her taste in dudes because my bias of living in a state with dude bros who love their trucks and shades more than life itself. F it. She's happy. So this past Easter rolled around and I was talking with V about how excited I was to be around her and the boys again. And she mentioned that she was bringing James. I don't remember what I said, but I said something about being excited to finally meet this guy since Dad and our eldest brother already have and said he's a stand-up dude. All right, you got the endorsement.
Yeah, I got the family endorsement.
Okay.
Everything's fine.
She got quiet and kind of had that tone like, yeah, about that. So I paused to ask what was wrong. She said she needed to talk to me because James is my old crush from school. I was confused because while I was close with my siblings, I'd never talked about crushes with most of them, and definitely not Violet. It just wasn't what we talked about. I said I don't remember crushing on a James, and that's when she said that he went by his middle name Daniel in school.
No! I thought she was gonna like break up with James and get with Daniel. No, it's just the freaking guy. But it's interesting that she never like in all of her sleuthing didn't realize that they were the same guy.
Well, also I'm just thinking like he probably looks so different. This was what, like when they're in middle school?
I would recognize maybe all of my middle school, like all the people I went to middle school.
Like if you go through a drastic change, like get buff, like only wear shades, you're not even showing your eyes, and like have tattoos, you know.
If he was only wearing shades and he has a beard, probably does look pretty different.
Yeah. Now, Daniel's in real life name is pretty common. So I was like, well, I don't remember a Daniel I crushed on. Which one do you mean? And we narrowed it down to that soggy twatsicle. Wow, I love that. Soggy twatsicle. There wasn't much to say after that other than I never had a crush on him. She was relieved to hear that. She said she actually didn't realize James and Daniel were one and the same herself until he brought it up on like the 4th date or something. And then she felt bad, but by then she was already developing feelings and couldn't bear the thought of hurting me nor walking away from her chance at love. I decided to tell her a bit at Easter, and I did pull her aside before he arrived, as we all stay the night before over the parents' house. I told her most of what I've told you now. This guy made my life hell. Violet was devastated, and she kept saying, "You're sure it's him? And that was years ago. Maybe you've got it wrong." To the point that I got frustrated and sort of gave up. To be fair, though, I mean, I would expect him to be very, like, I don't know if I would still, like, 10 years later, 20 years later, be like, he was my bully in middle school.
Seems like he was pretty awful, like, got her suspended. I think there are levels to it, because, like, you know, if they're, like, calling you names or something, that sucks, but years later, I'd probably be like, whatever. I'd probably tell my sister, because I'd be like, oh my God, that was my bully in middle school. But then I'd probably be like, okay, well, I'm down to have a conversation.
Right.
See if he's changed.
Easter was tense, but Daniel did say hi to me, like, long time no see. Remember me?
I feel like if you're the bully, you have to be like, I'm really sorry for how I behaved.
Yeah. Not remember me, you know?
Remember me.
Back to haunt you. And I just said, oh, I do, and kept my distance. From then on, it was a dance. Mother's Day, Father's Day, Mom and Dad's anniversary, a brother's birthday, you get it. Good old Daniel is around. By this point, I've told 2 of my brothers some of what's happening because they had scolded me for being standoffish around him, and they assumed I was pissy about Daniel taking my only sister. Once they knew, though, they weren't happy. We all got together again for Juneteenth, and of course, Dandy Daniel was there. But this time, V had a ring. My mother screamed with excitement, whooping through the restaurant, telling any and everyone her baby girl is getting married. When the parents went home, us siblings bar hopped the main street in the city to catch parts of the parade. V pulled me aside and inquired why I was avoiding her, and I just said I'm happy for her if he makes her happy. She's my sister, and I would pass away for her. It's just complicated that he's my bully from school, and I don't want to be around him. She got quiet and said, well, thank goodness the bridesmaids and groomsmen won't be interacting a lot, and as maid of honor, I would have minimal contact with him on the actual day. Then she started talking about dresses, and I stopped her. I don't think I can be maid of honor. I don't feel comfortable in the same space as this person. Maid of honor usually is a big job and interacts a lot with the couple. She shot back that, well, after he will be her husband, so am I to avoid him the rest of our natural lives? How? When they have kids? How do I plan to pull that off? She broke down saying I'm ruining everything for my misconceptions about him and making it out that she has to choose between her love and her sister, and it's not fair. I said, whoa, hold on. What misconceptions? That he bullied me? Violet went off. Okay, I tried not to bring this up because I didn't want an argument, but you bullied him, remember?
See, this is what I was going to say. I was going to say, like, if
Did he
I
turn
was,
on-
yeah. I was going to say, if I was the sister, I would have immediately gone to him and been like, hey, you
hey,
need to
yeah.
apologize to my sister. You know, she's still pretty upset about that. And I bet what he did is like, oh, you know, I thought she would say that, but actually she bullied me.
That's so trash. And she went on to say she confronted him about my allegations, and he explained that I had it the wrong way around. Even now in our 30s, he can't admit to pushing me, hitting me, calling me every name he could come up with, and worse, she was hoovering his BS like a buffet. I lost it. I told her before, I told her again and again that I didn't do those things. He always spun it around on me, and his friends would lie, so it would be my word against theirs. And no one ever believed me except once when he was caught on camera. And even then, it was made as retaliation by my bullying of him. She huffed. Okay, then what if he apologizes to you for bullying? Maybe it was the sangria, but I just laughed and said, you know what? Fine. You don't believe me? It doesn't matter now anyway. But I can't be maid of honor. She cried and our brothers came to keep the peace, but I was done with it. When my dad dropped me off at the airport later that day, he said that he hopes I think this through, and if my perception of things is more important than family, that's my choice. But when he and mom are gone, all we will have is each other, and this squabble is too much. He asked me to please not make trouble over this. I kissed him goodbye and took my dang flight.
This is so frustrating because from like every time OP brings this up, it's, oh, your perception of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's just what you thought happened.
You know, what's really like getting me is I wish she had just talked to him directly.
You wish OP had?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he would have done that evil, like, you know, in movies when there's like a bully or something and they're like, no one will ever believe you.
That's really unfortunate that you're 30 years old and you're still acting like a 12-year-old. Yeah, like what? That's so weird. Now my sister is still in the group chat acting like I'm maid of honor. My older brother is nudging me to just get over myself and not stress Violet out. Then this morning, I was added to a new chat with a few folks and my sister. She texted us as the wedding party and listed me as a maid of honor. I wanted to call her to remove this, but now I'm second guessing. I'm happy to attend. Heck, I'll bartend, sing, give a speech, anything. But I just don't want to stand up there as if I'm on board with this. Maybe he's changed and that's swell, but it took years of therapy, lots of love from my friends, an intense amount of support groups, and so much effort to get to the somewhat normal I have. I don't purge anymore. I don't cut anymore. I actually communicate with my partner and friends. It took so much to get over all that effing hurt. And when I'm with my family, I'm labeled as trouble, despite years of not asking for anything, not wanting to rock the boat with them. It feels like I can't be myself back home now, and it sucks. But this extra layer, Daniel, I just can't plaster a fake smile on grin and bear this like I did other things for so many years. I'm already the oddball, which, hey, someone's gotta be, and I moved states to avoid being judged on what scraps I managed to scramble up to make my messy, weird, awesome, amazing life. But I feel like I'm up against the wall. So maybe I'm just a selfish little kitten scratching at anyone trying to love me, But there it is. Am I the a-hole? I think I was a little bit like, oh, you know, it's like y'all are 30, maybe like get over it. But I mean, no, clearly this has
been affected.
No, like this has been a big thing. And I feel like they've done a lot of personal internal work to get over this and like make physical boundaries between her and her family. And I feel like it's super valid for her to not want to cross those boundaries for this dude that clearly really affected her self-worth.
Still is like, will not admit.
Is belittling
because
her.
It would be a little bit of a different story. I mean, she would still be, I think, in the right if she didn't want to ever talk to him. But it would be a little bit of a different story if he was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I should not have behaved that way. I was going through something as a child, but that was along the lines of his apology. But no, it's just, oh no, she bullied me.
And I feel like the fact that she's like, you know what, I'll come to the wedding, I'll do a speech, like I'll do whatever, but I just don't want to be maid of honor. I feel like that's fine.
That's fair.
That's valid.
I don't think anyone has to agree to be a maid of, because like being maid of honor is a big responsibility.
I don't think you're the a-hole. Edit. I guess I will have to name the brothers for this to not get too confusing. I was afraid of that. Here we go. In order of birth, my siblings are John, male 42, Jacob, male 40, Jonas, male 37, and Jeremy, M 35. And of course, Violet, and then myself, Lily, female 31. John is the brother leaning on me about sulking it up and just going to the wedding, but that's no big shock as he and my father are usually quite aligned. Very stereotypical eldest child syndrome. Anyway, Dad was the hands-on parent most of the time when Violet and I were younger because Mom works a job that requires a lot of travel. So he essentially is the boots on the ground with 6 kids. Please be gentle about it. He might not be perfect, but he had a lot on his plate and he does his best. By the time Mom would talk to me about getting in trouble at school, I was already shut down and just wouldn't answer. She had me go to therapy, but I wouldn't talk to the therapist either. So she put me in lots of extracurriculars. I think in her own way, because she didn't get my side of the story and could get the proverbial blood from a rock, she hoped to keep me busy and well-rounded to keep me out of trouble. Like I said, 6 kids to manage is a lot. Probably why I don't want kids at the moment, to be honest. After I posted, Jeremy called me to ask if I was all right, and I got a little overwhelmed. I didn't cry, but I think he could hear the stress in my voice. I told him everything about Daniel, and now he's really upset. I know he's already said something to Jonas because he's been texting me to check up on me and ask about what's going on. By the way, you can join us live on YouTube every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile and there's another relevant update, but let's discuss.
Yeah.
So now the siblings are getting informed and getting more details about the situation, and people are checking in on OP.
I guess so. And but it seems like the oldest brother is still kind of aligned with the dad, and saying like, just get over it,
suck it
like,
up and go to the wedding.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. As for why my own twin didn't know about my bullying since we would be in the same classes, we weren't. We were in separate homerooms because we had a lot of unhealthy attachment to one another when we were little. So administration made the call to keep us separated. Plus, I mentioned that I have a slight stutter. It was a real problem at school because I was an anxious one. I was pulled for speech therapy and the like a lot. All that to say, at school I saw my sister in passing maybe, but not a lot. And by high school, we frankly just ran in different circles. Anyway, baby needs her coffee before Godzilla levels another city. I need one too. That's it.
That's it.
Wait, what?
We don't get to know the wedding. We don't get to know whether or not she finally got the proof against the bully.
Keep your healthy boundaries, queen.
Yeah. James sucks.
Yeah,
he's the worst.
That's so unfortunate. Yeah. What a hard situation. I definitely feel for her.
Yeah. But that is the end of that story.
The boy I nanny for is a creep, and I am sick of his behavior.
You're a creep.
Oh, shout out Radiohead. So, I am from the US and recently moved to Italy to nanny. I feel this is important because so far I have not been able to tell if I'm struggling with a cultural difference here in Italy or if I actually have reason to be weirded out. By the way, this comes from user nannythrow on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, it's easy to tell that the son, Dario, is in middle school as he is already several inches taller than me and his mom and has maybe 30 pounds on me. Is that easy to tell? I feel like most middle schoolers are not larger than grown adults.
Yeah, wait, what?
When I first got here, some of that stuff that freaked me out a little, I could handle, and I chalked it up to being an Italy thing. This includes stuff like talking almost exclusively in a baby voice when addressing his parents, calling his parents mommy and daddy, fighting fighting physically with his little sister over who gets to sit on mom and dad's lap multiple times throughout the day, fighting with the sister over who gets to sleep with the parents, getting extremely upset when mom or dad leaves for the day, and whining about not getting enough kisses or time laying in bed, kissing with mom, and having his parents blow on chewed food in his mouth because it's too hot.
I don't think that's an Italian thing.
I would like to think that's not an Italian thing.
I don't think that's just...
What do you even call that? It's like, that's almost a step above the baby bird where it's like they chew the food for you. It's like you're chewing the food and then they cool it down when it's already in your mouth.
And enough kisses, and he's in middle school, by the way. And he's like...
And he's like a
big
grown...
boy. He's a big boy.
He's a grown dude.
He's a big baby boy. That's what he is.
This
He's
is
a big baby boy.
We got right here.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
I think we're going to immediately say this is not Italy.
I don't know.
This is maybe just a weird family dynamic.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I really don't want to be critical of this if it's normal here, you know? Which, to be fair, I don't know. I'm not tapped into...
I feel like you've done a little bit.
Mainland Italy.
I feel like you would have done a little bit of research on like things to do in Italy, Italian culture, Italian.
I've just never heard of anything.
But I've never heard of
like that.
I don't think this is part of the culture.
I mean, it's an Italian
like
and a European thing to like be more
that,
kissy.
the kiss of the hand or like the kiss of the cheeks.
It's definitely a thing in America where it's
There's a
like
little bit
once
more
you reach a
kissing.
certain age, it's like no more kisses for mom and dad.
I say there's a little bit more kissing, but like this seems it's a profusely.
The chewing the food and then blowing it cold.
And like who's sleeping with mom and dad.
But in the U.S., I seriously can't imagine a single 7th grade boy engaging in any of these behaviors, so it's really new to me. And really, it hadn't affected me, so I just let it be. The problem is, though, that now I'm starting to get involved, and it's making me really uncomfortable. For example, our rooms have adjacent windows, which allow the kids to see into my entire room at all times.
Why is that a thing?
That's like that's a bad thing everywhere. Italy, Zimbabwe, China, America.
Anywhere is bad. If you know it's not good in your own home, it's not good in that
Soviet Russia. It's never been a good thing to have a window into your room for other people to look into.
Yeah, like you have no way of like closing that up from anyone.
That's not a good thing. Good. Invest in drapes. What are you doing? To me, this is very inappropriate because what am I supposed to do when I need to change clothes? But I also don't want to seem like I'm accusing the children of being peepers or anything like that. So I just politely asked for curtains, thank you, and took to changing in the bathroom. After weeks without curtains, the family finally promised me that someone was coming to put them up. Well, he only put them in the kids' room. Ever since the curtains went up, I find Dario peeping through the curtains at me multiple times a day. Now, I'm sure he is just checking on me or curious about what I'm up to, but it makes me so uncomfortable. No, dude, you don't have to be sure that's what he's doing. That kid's in 7th grade. I don't know if 7th grade is different from like America to Europe.
Maybe
but I'm thinking this kid is like 13.
12, 13, 14, 12 to 14.
Like
middle school.
Yeah, you can get up to no good at 13. You can get up to no good at that age.
I
understand you want to be like
you're already
give them
in
the
a
benefit
very
of the doubt, but it's like
I'm just gonna say like you're already in a very uncomfortable situation. Contact because OP is it sounds like OP is like an au pair, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. It's technically pronounced au pair.
Okay, au pair.
Sorry, I know how to speak French a little bit.
OP, get out. How about that?
It might be time to go.
How about that? Yeah, if you're uncomfortable, this entire time, I know it's hard, but I would contact the au pair agency.
Contact the embassy.
Not the embassy, but the au pair agency. They can resolve it for you. If you're already in a very uncomfortable position,
this is bad.
It's bad.
I'm afraid that they would think I was accusing their baby boy of trying to spy on me while I'm changing, so I just took matters into my own hands and hung a blanket up over my window. Another issue has been that when we stay at the kids' grandparents' house, there's a room for the parents with a bed for one child and a room for me with a bed for one child. I figured we would split up the boys and girls and I would stay with the daughter, but nighttime rolls around and Dario is crawling into the bed next to mine. I was so uncomfortable, I could hardly sleep. I've talked to my friends at home about this and they all think it's really weird because we aren't related and he's a teenager now. Yeah. Eyebrows are fully raised at this entire situation.
This is very, very odd.
But this is, of course, an American opinion.
Stop with that. Stop with that. Stop with that. Stop with
Yeah,
that. I do not like that American thing. Like, if you are uncomfortable, you are uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a culture thing. Like,
No.
if it's like food, that's one thing. But like, if you're being treated very specifically, or you're not being respected, or there's things that you just don't like, that's not an American thing, especially if you're in a different country. It's not an American thing. You're not being like, it's not frowned upon to be like, I'm not comfortable with this. It's okay to say you're not comfortable. I don't understand why you're defending that. I don't like that excuse.
Yeah. So because this is, of course, an American opinion, I can't tell for sure if we're imposing our ideas on this family. Again, if this is really a cultural thing, though, I don't know how to tell the family that where I'm from, it's kind of inappropriate for a boy so old to be sleeping next to me, especially when he's been spying on me without causing issues. You know what, OP? That's what you just said is how you do that. Exactly what you just said, verbatim, is what you would say to them.
You are aware of you are so aware, but like,
I'm convinced this is just a fear of you can't lose the income, you don't want to get kicked out, and it's understandable. But
again,
you sounds like you know what to do. Of course, these behaviors affect other aspects of our life as well, as it's hard to get Dario to do anything because he usually claims it's too hard to do. Like making your bed at 13, is that too hard? Are you kidding me? And I often find myself wanting to tell him to grow up. What I need help with is knowing whether he does need to grow up or if all this behavior is normal here and I'm the crazy American that just needs to adjust. Is this behavior normal for a 12-year-old or is it immature? I feel like the parents still really see him as a young child and usually he acts like it. But for the most part, it seems like he plays up the baby act because he knows it makes his parents cater to him more. Yeah, and also there's clearly a huge failure on the parents here.
he's a pampered. He seems like he gets his way. He stomps his feet. He gets what he wants.
He acts like a baby.
He's a big baby boy.
If this is all abnormal, does anyone have any suggestions about how to bring this up to the family? And we do have an edit. Just want to clarify that at the grandparents' house, there are 2 beds and they are next to each other. Dario was not in my bed, but in the bed next to mine, which is still creepy to sleep in the same room as a kid who you were just spying on me while I was unclothed.
It's like, it would have been so much better if it was the daughter.
Yeah.
That's it.
Let's just switch it up like that. It's so much. Anyway, we have an update.
Yeah.
In regards to the curtain issue, like I said in my last post, I had just hung a blanket for privacy, and since then, there have been no peeping issues. I asked 2 more times for curtains and was reassured both times that the curtain man would come to hang them in my room. He did come back once and hung more curtains in the kids' room, but again, not in mine. Is the curtain man just a complete idiot?
No, I think the parents.
He hung a double set of curtains. There's already curtains in that room.
He put more
Are you just putting more curtains over them?
He's like, oh, I need to double down on the curtains. But I think it's on the parents.
Then I was told that they didn't like him and would be finding another curtain guy to hang my curtains, which again, maybe they didn't like him because he's like
There's 4 pairs of curtains in one room now.
Okay.
I don't understand.
At least there's a brief window.
At least the parents are like,
there's a little flicker of humor there to me. It's like they keep hiring the curtain guy. He's just putting curtains up in the same room, not understanding.
They wanted the curtains in all 4 corners.
It's been 4 months. No more mention of it, and I still use the blanket. The vacation issue. I have simply refused to go on vacation with them. I'm off on weekends, and I've reached a point where I just refuse to be home for the entire weekend and manage not to see them from Friday night until Monday morning if I can help it. I go on weekend trips, crash on couches, sneak into my room when they're eating, things like that, just to avoid seeing anyone on my days off. I mean, it sounds like you just need to find a different au pair situation.
Yeah, I don't. If you're already tiptoeing around and you're like, oh, any chance I can get out of this is great, is a relief.
When you're literally
you already know that you're not comfortable. I like you said, like maybe it's like this is like the only thing that's like it's that money situation because you're an au pair. Or au pair.
Talk to the agency.
Talk to the agency.
Talk to the agency.
You sign through an agency.
I
feel like there's a contract. I don't know.
If there's any authority whatsoever, go to them and be like, I'm viscerally uncomfortable living here. Please help me.
Can I switch? This happened.
Oh, God. Now we're just getting to the Dario issue.
Yeah.
Dario still acts extremely immaturely. I've warmed up to him a lot, and I figured out how to cut his rudeness and such. He's become a lot more positive and kind, especially because his mom has been gone a lot, and he's with me every day. I'm very upbeat and have worked really hard to get him to socialize and speak kindly. Unfortunately, he seems to have almost regress in terms of his childish behavior. He still sits on laps, kisses a lot, and sleeps with a parent when the other is gone. The baby talk is constant. For example, he loves to repeat back butchered syllables of words, if that makes sense. Like his dad will say, Passami un ciao, cucciao. Passami un cucciao.
We're butchering Italian so
I'm
bad.
not Italian, please.
We're just reading it.
It's Italian for pass me a spoon. And he will clap and exclaim, I'm not even going to attempt to do baby talk in Italian because I don't speak it. But he's basically just doing baby reactions. He's doing baby talk.
Yeah.
He's baby talking. He also has started eating kind of like a baby too. Like he'll take the remaining tomato sauce that we used on pasta and use the giant spoon to drink it out of the pot, and it'll get all over his face, and then he'll suck on each of his fingers. But when we look at his parents, they're looking at him like when you see a cute baby trying to use a fork and getting food on his face. But he's 13. So it's honestly sickening to watch and listen to. Yeah, this is a bad parent. And you know what? I'm going to assume that they are in an upper tax bracket. Just a straight assumption. But I feel like that is an environment where this behavior is sort of, I don't know. They just sort of coddle and allow whatever happens.
That's our baby boy. That's our big
That's
baby
the
boy.
baby.
Yeah. I
don't know. Maybe
I'm uncomfortable with that entire situation. If I saw that, I wouldn't tell the parents like, oh, you should change how you parent your kid. Do whatever you want. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. And for that, I'm out.
And for that, Sharks, I'm out.
I'm out.
God.
That's just a very uncomfortable situation of just like, this is what you have to live with and take care of. And it's just too much stress.
He won't lock the door when he goes to the bathroom or showers, which is like, what? I started locking the door when I was like 7. And he even cried the other day when his sister sat on the foot of his bed. He doesn't like things touching his bed. And guess what? Parents got mad at the daughter, said it was her fault for baiting him. She just had to tie her shoe for a second, and declared that it's her fault Dario will be upset all night. He also hasn't made any progress with friends and has taken to playing League of Legends, so he won't leave his room or do any activities or lessons with me or the sister. Is Dario neurodivergent? I feel like that's
picking that up.
That's now. I was
I'm
just
picking that
like,
up.
wait a minute. Okay.
Now it's kind of adding. Yeah, I picked that up with
Like,
that context right there.
Nothing touching my bed meltdown is like, okay, this is
And
there's a
the
little bit
parents
of
are defending.
neurodivergency
Yeah,
going on
and the parents
here.
are defending that like now he's gonna be upset all night.
Yeah. So okay, that clicks a little bit more now.
Yes.
So he's taken to playing League of Legends, so he won't leave his room or do any activities or lessons with me or the sister. It's pretty sad, honestly. But by the way, I would never find it sad for you to join us every weekday at 3 p.m. PST when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok. Just tap our profile and you'll join us. And
Heck, we might be even live right now.
so
Tap
go
it.
check in a second right after this because we got a little bit more story left. But I think that the epiphany of it, I don't know why it shouldn't have even taken us that long. We should have realized we should have suspected that.
I
probably a
think.
little
I
earlier.
mean, this is.
we were caught up in OP being like, is this an Italian thing? It's like
No, we it kind of flew over our heads because I think OP is a unreliable narrator. Like
yeah,
OP,
we were only exactly.
like this should have been pertinent at the very get go. Also, I think this would have been a part maybe on the papers or like the documentation for
Yeah,
au
shouldn't it
pair.
have been?
I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Could
Let
it
us
be
know.
It might even be undiagnosed. I
I
don't know.
don't know. I don't know. But now it makes a lot more
But
sense.
yes, a lot of those behaviors fit.
Way more, especially how the parents are coddling him and all that stuff. Okay.
Where it's like you'd expect something. You would expect at some point for there to be like a correction made or like a little bit of a course correct, right?
Yes.
But it's like with the context of this neurodiversion. Like that makes sense. We're still assuming.
Yeah, there's nothing's
But
been stated, but it
The only thing that checks the boxes where it's like, why are the parents sort of
He's the
propping
oldest.
up this behavior or not addressing it? And then really it all came together with like the sister sat on his bed and it's like, meltdown status. It's like, okay.
But again,
Clearly.
this is the first child. This is the oldest child. They're babying him. But again, for OP,
hit me.
just get out. Like, if you're not comfortable with any of this, it seems like you're not, and you're just like, it's an American thing. Like, maybe I'm just an American mindset. No, just get out.
Yeah.
Like, I think you can transfer or go somewhere else, especially if you're already getting into that mindset of like, I don't like, it's only been what, 6 months? 4 months?
I
6
think
months?
it's been longer.
Maybe a little bit longer? I don't know.
We had a couple of like, and then,
It's
4
been-
months
it's
later,
been-
a couple months later.
Okay, so it looks like
they
it's been a
had
year.
They had 3 different curtains installed. So
It's
a
been
lot
a
of time
year.
has gone by.
Let's just say it's been a year process, and it's progressively getting worse and worse for OP. And even if your friends are saying like, get out of there, get out of there.
Let's see how this finishes off here. Basically, the hardest part of this whole thing has been the mother. Oh, what a twist. I won't even go into it here, but she's honestly clinically insane, and I feel so bad for all the people in this house that have to put up with her. She's just a power-hungry, jealous, bitter woman who needs to see a professional.
Where did this come from?
Oh, what a out of left field.
You literally called it an M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, maybe that's why the mom is why she's
Maybe.
afraid to talk
Okay,
about it.
maybe.
Basically, I went home for Christmas to be with my friends and family and realized how bad this experience was for my health. I was going out drinking almost every night to escape the house. I was sleeping horribly because I knew she was here and her presence gave me awful anxiety. I was getting yelled at every day, even when I did nothing wrong. I was at home in the States, and the thought of going back made me absolutely miserable. So when I came back, I told them I needed to go back early for medical reasons, which is not totally untrue, and now I'm set to leave the last week of March. They found a new girl. Look out for her post here sometime in the future. That is the end of that story. My wife keeps making excuses not to sleep with me. Now she's suggesting an open marriage.
That's a little confusing there.
Yeah, you go from step 1 to step 17.
You're skipping a lot of steps there.
My wife, 34 female, and I, 38 male, have been married going on 3 years. We met just right before COVID, so we really didn't date for more than about 2 years. We have just encountered our first rough patch in our marriage. We really clicked when we met. Our relationship was easy and fun. However, we are both people that tolerate things well and have barriers to communication, which now I see is an issue.
Uh-oh.
I think this is the footing that has built the foundation for our current issues. To describe ourselves a little, she does not have an education past high school and has been in the restaurant industry all her life. I am an accountant and hold a senior leadership position in a decent-sized company. Before I met her, I built a decent-sized stock portfolio and real estate portfolio. By the way, this comes from user deleted on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I could have retired at the age of 32. That's pretty cool.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Wow.
I only realized something was off in our relationship a few weeks ago. She started rejecting me in the bedroom. We had a week-long camping trip scheduled, and she didn't show up. Our campsite was only 30 minutes away, but to her defense, she just got promoted to restaurant manager, one step below GM. So she was going through a lot of training during that time, and she said she couldn't make it. However, when I was camping, she said she really needed to talk. So, of course, my emotions started getting the best of me. Speculating and wondering what is going on, my past got the best of me, and I immediately thought that there was someone else. Gut feeling. Prior to meeting my wife, I was involved in an emotionally draining relationship and had been cheated on by that person multiple times.
Yee, that's not good.
Never a good thing. Sorry about that, OP. She said no, but there are rumors that I want you to be aware of that people at work are saying I slept with the assistant AG, I'm going to guess it's like an assistant manager, to get my position. And I want you to know that that is not true.
Why are there rumors starting in the first place?
Well, I mean, dude, if you've ever worked in a restaurant, anyone who's worked there knows that it can get toxic so fast.
Okay, but that's not a good thing. Be like, hey, babe, there are going to be rumors that you might be hearing. They're not true.
Well, it's
but we're
fair.
also not sleeping together.
I think it's fair to get ahead of it or try to. Speaking as this actually just being a rumor and there's people who are jealous that maybe they didn't get promoted at the restaurant, are now, I've worked in plenty of petty restaurants. I still have this gut feeling that something is off. Moving forward with the conversation, my wife explained how she was not happy. She explained how she felt that for a long time I have disrespected her. For example, it started when she needed a new car. She had a 2016 Kia Soul that started having issues, and this was during the time when car prices skyrocketed and dealers were placing premiums over MSRP. I explained this to her that it's not the best time to purchase a new car, so I made an effort to put the money into her existing car to keep it going. I did most of the work myself. She told me this is where it started for her.
That's that's like a smart and kind gesture, though.
Yeah, that's a big red flag to me. All she wanted was a reliable car of her choosing, and she felt I was too controlling on the situation. She had no space or input in this purchase. She felt she had just had to beg to get a new car. When your car has an issue, it's not always like, all right, new car immediately. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not a car guy, but I know enough to know that Kia Souls are superb automobiles, which is why they've been produced for, going on, a decade and a half at this point. But I guess I can get like feeling like, well, you didn't let me have a say. That's a different thing.
There's a different thing, but again,
like, I don't know.
This is based on OP's format and from their perspective, so we don't know.
The reason she's probably upset, you remember how OP said he could have retired at 32? So she's like, well, I know you have the money to get a new car, so why didn't you get me a new car when my car was like broken down? She just felt she had to beg to get a new car. My brain was just thinking financially, and given the market, it wasn't the best time to buy. I waited 15 years and drove a 94 pickup before I bought my truck. Another thing of resentment on her part, she brings up the fact that I didn't hesitate to buy a $60,000 truck, a $60,000 boat, a $30,000 camper, multiple properties, and this is all before we met. However, I wanted to wait to get her a new car. This is just an example of the dynamic currently and her issue that had just built up, and she finally couldn't stand it. Well, we decided to continue to work on things, but she was honest that she really doesn't know how to fix things. We decided to go on our planned trip to Colorado and had a great time. However, she continued to disconnect on an intimate level. When we got back after a great trip, she said nothing had changed and she wanted to stay with her mother for a period of time to see if this feeling she had towards me changed. It took only a couple of days until she came back home bawling. She said she just had to leave the restaurant because she couldn't take what she was feeling, that she didn't feel comfortable at her mother's and she belonged back at our house. However, that night, she realized she didn't do something at work, so she had to go back. Okay, I was about to say that's really fishy, but if she's a manager, that's the only context in which that makes any sense at a restaurant. She said she would stay at her mom's that night, pack up the next day, and come back. She came back the next day, hungover, and said she stayed up after she got done at work and had a little drinky poos with her mother.
I don't know. Do you think she stayed with her mother?
I don't know, but
because maybe
this is definitely suspicious. OP goes on to say, this is a little off because her mother does not drink.
Yep. Even fishier. I was gonna say because maybe she was seeing someone and they denied her.
I think if we remember the title, she might have realized tonight she wants the open marriage. A couple weeks later, we continue to talk and try to work through our issues. She says that she still has this feeling in her stomach on how I have treated her in the past, which honestly, if her only things are about those financial things, about how you're not spending enough money on her, huge red flag.
Yeah,
to me.
I don't know where this is all, especially with everything coming all in like one big snowball.
Yeah.
Of like, where's this coming from?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I would understand it like if it was like, OP was like, no, I'm not fixing your car because, it's trash and your job's not even serious. Then it's like, okay, yeah, that was incredibly disrespectful, but you literally fixed her car.
I don't know.
It's weird.
I feel like she is cheating.
I'm just trying to move forward and understand her and work on things to strengthen our relationship. Because of all of this and our attempts to communicate, I tell her I've never been happy with our spicy sleep life. She's never initiated or attempted to come onto me in the bedroom.
Uh-oh, I don't like that.
It felt
I don't like that.
It was a chore for her. She tells me the only reason why she will have the spicy sleep with me on the few occasions is to not have to deal with my attitude.
That's not how it.
Dude,
that's not how it works.
I'm sorry. Just you got to break up with this person.
The fact that they said that.
That's, there's more to relationships than physical intimacy. But for somebody to say that to you, I think it's clear that this is not
big no-no.
a situation that
that's a big no-no.
you want to maintain. I feel like she has weaponized spicy sleep in our relationship. She will have it with me one day, and then the next she will say no because of our discussion and how she feels disrespected. How am I supposed to know when we can have spicy relations if she never initiates? So now I asked her, what are our best options now? I want to know what we can do to resolve and work on our issues. She has now agreed to open our relationship because she feels my issues have revolved around the spicy sleep and what she hasn't been able to provide. She wants to stay with her mother again to get more space to see if her feelings towards me can change. That's suspicious.
This is very odd.
There's something weird going on here.
What I feel like she's hiding something. Like there's no communication here. Like she doesn't want to communicate something.
Yeah, we're missing something here. But you know what? I never want y'all to miss our live streams. When we go live every single weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok, all you got to do is tap on our profile and you're in.
I don't want to jump to conclusions because maybe she could be, but it seems like she's trying to keep the relationship as well as like maybe we should open up the relationship. It's not for her. It's for OP.
Yeah.
That was a curveball for me.
Yeah, that is kind of the curveball, but it's like you're saying, it's like you're suspecting cheating. That seems like
the
a
drinking thing with the mom, and his mom doesn't drink. But again, maybe they just
who knows? Maybe she drank that night. But I think if we're operating from the assumption that there is cheating going on, it is kind of a big brained move to then be like, oh, let's open the relationship because now it takes you. Oh, you opened up the marriage,
free game.
So
yeah, it's free game. Yeah.
So you might even be retroactively trying to undo the mistake that you made.
I don't know. Maybe it's possible that there was a mistake made. I don't know. It's just the fact that it started off with, hey, there's going to be a rumor spreading. I might be cheating on you or cheating with someone to get this position.
Really 50-50. It's impossible to say.
I cannot say right now.
So let's see how this ends. I asked her, what does an open marriage mean exactly? Because I'm not okay with her seeing anyone else. And I know that that's not fair. She says she's not interested in a spicy relationship with anyone right now and is focused on work. She understands my needs and it's okay for me to connect and see someone strictly on a spicy level. I told her and she agrees that if she sees or sleeps with someone else, it would be considered cheating. However, I am okay to do so. She just needs some time to really figure out herself and this relationship. This is just so confusing to me. Why would she be willing and wanting to do this? And that's the end of the story. OP.
I'm just as confused as OP is right now because like OP's like that she wants for me, but not for her. What? Again, maybe
I would be so perplexed.
It's very possible that, like I said, she's just going through a stressful time at work, and the work environment is a very toxic environment, and that's getting to her. I am very confused. I would say, chat, what do you think? I don't know what to say of this because we've never had anything where I was like, oh yeah. If she said it's for me, then obviously.
Thinking from the stereotypical male, like if you were to have just like a stereotypical dude perspective on this would be like the slam dunk. It's like, oh, what? My wife that's not sleeping with me is gonna let me sleep with other people? That's sick. But it's like something is like not.
Something is missing.
Adding up here.
Something is missing from this equation of like maybe it's just unreliable narrator. Maybe we need a perspective from the wife. I don't know.
Yeah, there's
something obviously missing that I cannot piece it together. I'm like, oh, she's cheating, and then she threw that curveball, and I'm just confused.
I want her perspective on what's making her stay committed in the relationship. I want to hear.
Maybe she does genuinely love, but maybe she just doesn't like because she's like, I don't want to do it with anyone. Maybe she just doesn't like spicy stuff. It's very possible that she just doesn't like spicy stuff in general.
Possible.
And that's just that, and that's okay.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
That's just genuine. That people are like that. Some people just don't like to do spicy stuff. Let us know in the comments what you think.
Yeah, let us know your theories.
I really do not know.
I don't either. I'm perplexed.
Yeah, OP is perplexed. We're perplexed. I would say definitely talk it out. I would say if I were OP, I would just like what's going on here between us. Yeah. Like it seems like she wants to make the relationship work. He wants to make the relationship work, but something is not connecting.
I cannot forgive my father even after his passing. His ghost is going to haunt forever now. Hello, everyone. I'm not sure how I can properly explain this or write this up, but I will do my best. I haven't seen my father in years since he got locked up. My good streak of over 25 plus or so years of not seeing him ended not that long ago when my family showed up at my front door and my mother was locked arms with him. To sum that whole thing up, my mother wanted us to forgive our father for everything he has done for us and to be one big happy family again. By the way, this comes from Humble Cookie 009 in the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So my father tried to emotionally gaslight me and paint me as the bad guy for refusing to acknowledge any chance of retribution between us. I went off on both of my mother and father for the arrogance. I just lost a son due to his poor decision-making skills.
What?
And in return, my mother seems to want to bring someone in his place.
I don't know what that means.
You lost a son?
Due to your father's poor decision-making skills?
And he just got out of prison? There's a lot of context that I feel like
Yeah.
I need here.
Oh.
That's what I think she's trying to do. I'm aware of how emotionally incompetent my mother is, so I might be wrong. It might be that my mother is old and is just looking for love or companionship, which is fine, but to bring the animal of a father back, ... just can't.
Wow. I feel like we don't have a lot of
Context.
the background context of
But
what
it
the,
doesn't
why
sound
it doesn't
good.
sound good. It sounds like you have a really bad relationship
Yeah.
with your father and your mom's just kind of trying to like push him on you, like push this relationship on you. which
Ezekiel
is
says
so
we need
unfair.
context on that now.
Yeah. It's so unfair to like regardless of what the context is for her to out of the blue after years of not like 25 years of not
especially
talking
if
to him.
like the father maybe potentially went to prison for the death of OP's son.
It seems like
I don't know if it's related, but
it seems slightly unrelated the way that it's worded because it sounds like she just lost a son and he's been in prison for like 25 years. So
well, but he says, I just lost a son due to his poor decision-making skills. So I don't know. Ever since the altercation, I need context. The family has been divided. At first, my siblings were 100% with my FU speech, but as time went on, the opinion started to change. My sisters have been with my mother more and more, and with my father being there, I guess he has gotten under their skin. I do not know of the exact details, but we have been at odds with lots of back and forth and lots of minor arguments. My brother has also come by and have tried to talk to me about it. I do not ignore them, even if I disagree and I'm disgusted with what they tell me. They say, maybe it's time to move on. Give yourself peace. Mom is happy. He tried to be a better person. Why can't you? You're being stubborn.
That's so frustrating to like have all of your feelings just kind of ignored
Invalidated.
and invalidated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
Mm-mm.
I do my best to listen to them, to consider them, see their POV, but the thing is, I don't. I have just stood up and walked away a few times like a child. I've become distant with my daughters. I'm just emotionally drained. Well, 4 days ago, I received a call from my mother while I was at work. My father had a heart attack and was in the hospital. I showed up and everyone was there. My sister's holding his hand and telling him that he is going to be okay. My mother crying, my brother looking at me to see what was next. He looked like a dying piece of crap. I was crying despite not trying or wanting to. I think at the moment, the child in me finally left my body. At least that's what I think. My whole family told him that they forgave him for everything and that they loved him. I was the last one he asked forgiveness to. It was like a coming of age kind of thing. Everyone looking at me, tearfully waiting for the happy ending to all these years. I kept looking at my father, and I couldn't say it. To describe it best, I went mute. In my head, I wanted to conform and just say I did just to get over with it. But no, I told him that I would not simply forget and forgive him. I've lost so much because of him. I lost my childhood and my pets.
Oh.
I need context. My innocence, my emotional and mental well-being. He was never a father to us, and he will drift off with at least one of his kids hating him. I have never felt more hurt in my life than at this very moment. The room went silent, and I just walked out of the room. I do not know what else to say here. I walked out of the room being the only one to not forgive him. Question here.
Yes.
OP the a-hole for walking out on
No.
his dying dad.
No.
No. I don't think you ever owe someone accepting their apology.
Yeah.
And I think OP's been through a lot, it seems. And I think that they
Yeah.
shouldn't be forced to have a relationship with their
I don't think you should be
father.
forced to have a relationship with whoever, with like whatever person. I don't think you should be forced to have a relationship with anybody.
Yes.
Angie Lobato says forgiveness is overrated. I think I could be completely wrong here, but I think they have done a study about just like grudges in general,
Mhm.
specifically like familial grudges. And although you might not want to have a relationship with that person, generally, like not forgiving the person actually hurts you more.
But I think
But
OP
you don't
can do
necessarily
that
have
later.
to say, you don't
Yeah.
necessarily have to do it now. But
I think
do
it's a process of forgiveness that can come later where you're like, you know what, I'm just not even going to let you have control over my life anymore.
yeah.
But I don't think that needs to be said to
And-
him.
And OP has the most context on this, so
Yeah.
probably knows what is best. And I would be curious for people, especially in the chat, if you've had a family member pass away that did something terrible to you or bad to you, and you kept that grudge and like I don't know, didn't reconciliate before they passed away. Like, how do you feel now? Because my general thought is like never like my general like, and I obviously I haven't had that kind of like massive trauma, but like I try to forgive everyone.
Mhm.
And I think generally it can make you happier, but I'm curious for some of the people that have actually gone through it, like what you
Mhm.
think. Slidey Toes says you don't need to forgive to move on. Emily Flores says forgive for yourself, not for them. Agreed. By the way, if you want to make memories with us, you can join us live every weekday at 3 p.m.
Just the long
EST
pause. We're like,
on YouTube and Facebook.
Oh, man.
There's more to this story.
What a segue.
2 days
there.
later, my father passed away at the same hospital bed where I last saw him. I do not know how to explain my feelings or thoughts about anything. I'm writing this as a form of therapy, I guess, a chance to explain and ask. My mother came by yesterday. We talked, but she was a lot more calm and unemotional than usual. She asked me if I was happy and if everything was how I wanted it to be. She told me that I could have just forgiven him and everything would have been better. But you can't just curate this emotion out of nowhere.
You can't just ask OP to do that.
I could have been happier if I just let it go. I'm not upset at my mother. I may not understand, but I'm not. I just hugged her. I don't know. Am I the a-hole?
No.
And I think we kind of talked about this before.
Yeah.
Chat agrees. I don't think OP is the a-hole at all.
I agree. Not at all.
I agree.
I
not the
agree.
a-hole.
I agree. But what do you think? Put your answers in the
Put in the
comments
comments.
below.
My friend and her mother are being scammed mercilessly. Need some advice, please.
Oh no.
Oh no. A friend and her mother are both being scammed, and it's been going on for several years. It's scary and terrible. First, the mother, she's 95 years old. Oh no. And a few years ago, fell for a sweepstakes scam, supposedly Publishers Clearinghouse, and gave the scammers $40,000. I just learned to my utter astonishment and dismay that the mother is still in touch with her scammers. She has changed her cell phone number 3 times and somehow they still get her new number. Her daughter, my friend Sarah, says that it's like they're always one step ahead of her. The next step is for the mother to get a new landline number because she still has and uses a landline. I don't know why, but I hope that they will do this ASAP. By the way, this comes from Splendid Esme on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So just now, Sarah told me that this morning alone, one of 4 men who keep calling her called 30 times in succession, claiming to be from the FDIC and threatening her with jail. This man also mentioned Sarah's name to the mother, claiming that Sarah has been reporting her mother to the FDIC. Y'all, this is so complicated and so effed up. They're terrorizing and confusing this very sweet and trusting old lady. Sarah doesn't know what to do. Can this activity be reported to someone? They've tried local law enforcement and have been blown off. If she's capable of living alone and making her own decisions, then there's nothing we can do, she says. She's choosing her own free will to talk to these people. Does this type of harassment qualify as a crime? Would the FBI help? Meanwhile, Sarah is the victim of a very long romance scam, 4 years long.
Wait a minute.
Romance
How much money
scam?
we give up here?
Uh-oh. She's convinced that she's been having an online relationship with a famous musician and that he's going to leave his wife of 50 years and marry Sarah.
Time the F out. This happened to my mom's friend's mom.
Really?
No joke.
Did she write this story? Is her
She
name
said-
Esme?
Maybe, dude. Who Maybe.
No.
Maybe. I don't know, dude.
They've never met, never talked on the phone except once briefly at the very beginning. Never video chatted because his phone camera doesn't work, of course. Nothing but texts on Telegram. She's given this scammer money, probably a lot of money, maybe directly wiring it. Maybe via gift cards, maybe via Bitcoin, maybe all 3. I suspect so. The good news is that after months of my trying to just be a good, non-judgy listener and trying to give her facts about how and why she's obviously being scammed and let them sink in and never punishing her, she's maybe finally starting to realize that she's been acting like a cult member for the past 4 years. But she's still really in denial. Oh, this poor woman, she's in love with this famous singer. Apologies for the length of this post. So worried about the mother and Sarah, whose mental health is fragile at best at times. Do y'all have any ideas about what can be done for her mom? Not sure what the scam is called. It has to do with shipping precious possessions. My friend is the victim of a romance scam, which has been going on for more than 4.5 years. She believes that a famous rock musician is trying to divorce his evil wife, and that as soon as that gets cleared up, he will come live with my friend happily ever after. She's impervious to reason, logical argument, and expressions of alarm. She's given this person many, many thousands of dollars. Her own elderly mother is a victim of a publisher's clearinghouse scam, also ongoing. The latest thing that's happened, and that I'm not sure what to call, is that the famous rock star is going to send my friend some of his most prized, precious possessions so that she can store them safely for
Yep.
him.
You just have to pay the shipping fee.
You just have to give me your address. Why he can't store them safely where he lives, either France or England, supposedly, but of course, more likely Port Arthur, Nigeria, or in his office, or with a trusted friend or associate, rather than sending them across the ocean to my friend, is unknown. I've begged her to please not agree to receive this supposed shipment because it's not real and she'll never see these precious possessions. But what will happen is that once they're sent, her famous rock star boyfriend or his agent or some such will contact her to say that there's been a delay and that she needs to pay a special tariff or fee or surcharge or whatever, and that this will happen multiple times, and each time he will pressure her into paying. Not sure what this scam is called. Has anyone else heard of it or experienced it? I can find many resources, online, videos, etc. about different kinds of scams, but not this one specifically. I looked in the list of scams on this sub and didn't find a description of it, but may have missed it. I'd love to be able to send her links to the videos that describes this scam, because even though it feels hopeless, she's still my friend, and I still hope somehow to get through to her, however unlikely that feels right now. And we do have a sad update.
Oh, no.
Do we have any final thoughts before we jump into this supposed sad update?
These people seem hopeless. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Helpless. Like,
Yeah.
you can look up on Google what to do if I get scammed and
Yeah.
follow those steps. Easy as that.
Yeah. I
But
think.
like honestly, my real advice:
Yeah.
throw your phone and computer in the water.
Honestly, I think what you would need to do with the
Learn how to block
Rockstar,
numbers.
yeah, I think you need to block them for these people because they can't do it and they're just gonna fall victim to it. Because older people usually don't have as much experience online with this kind of stuff. But you know what else old people are? Stubborn. So, and I mean that in the highest respect. It is true, and so a lot of people are like set in their ways and they don't want to be told that their experiences are wrong because, no one really wants that.
That is true.
Sometime back, I posted about my friend Sarah, who is the victim of a Facebook romance scam. It's now approaching 5 years that she's been giving money to her scammer, who she believes to be a member of a famous and influential rock band. It turns out that not only has she been wiring this criminal money, she's depleted an inheritance and the proceeds from a property sale and retirement funds, but she's also been sending electronics, smartphones, Apple Watches, iPads, as well as Steam and Razer Gold cards. In fact, her bank called her in for a meeting because, as her fiduciary, they were extremely concerned that she was overusing her debit card to the tune of $1,000 a week for those cards. She got mad and closed her account, which of course is not what the bank's goal was, and then for some reason opened a new account at a bank that's 30 miles from where she lives and has no local branches. Oh my God. Now her friends fear that she's going to sell the house that her ancient mother lives in. The house is in Sarah's name to get even more money to send. She adamantly refuses to listen to her friends, relatives, or even concerned physicians. We have tried everything, and I mean everything. She's thrown away in excess of $750K at this point and still says that she loves her baby. You know what?
Whoa.
Yeah, 750.
What?
That's a lot. Retirement fund, inheritance, throwing it away. And let me ask you, what is this rock boyfriend doing for you? Huh? What is he doing for you? You know what they should do? And this is like a real idea. They should see if this rock guy has a cameo and then get the cameo. No, actually, it'd be less money than what she's freaking spending on this guy. Ask him, please, she's being scammed and she thinks that she's dating you. Please clear things up.
Oh, I thought the scammers would find this out. Hire
No.
So this is what I was thinking.
Oh my
the
God.
scammers hire him.
No.
And then be like, babe, I love you so much. Da, 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 da. And then
I'm leaving
sends
my
it back.
evil wife for you, babe. Just send me thousands and millions of dollars, and then we'll all be good. And then he just collects the $300 that he gets from that. It's a great idea, so it's up to you guys now.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is a person whom she's never video chatted with and has never even spoke to on the phone for 5 years. Dang, she's just lonely. But you can always video chat with us, actually, on live on our YouTube channel and on TikTok and on Twitch and on Facebook every single weekday at 3 p.m. PST. We're not scammers.
Just tap her profile.
Just tap her profile.
All we're going to take is your time, not your money.
Yeah. But anyway, there is more to this story. So let's jump into it. Unless you have more things to say before we go in.
Throw every device you have into a river.
Like at this point, people need to intervene.
Yep.
People actually need to intervene. There's no like nice talking to her anymore.
Agreed.
But there is more to this story. It's hard to watch and there's nothing left to do. There's no moral to this sad story except perhaps intervene as soon as humanly possible. That's what I'm saying. When this kind of thing starts happening with your loved ones. I didn't find out about my friend until more than 2 years after she got hooked. At that point, she'd pretty much been completely psychologically overtaken. And that is the end of the story. OP, if you see this, please look for a cameo from this guy. Honestly, I think that would work. If she sees this man talking and is like, hey, what the heck?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then she could send it to the scammer and he'd be like, no, baby, I still love you. And then she'd be like, well, what,
What is this? Explain this.
You just told me you
just
have
said
a wife
this.
and you're still staying together? Like, oh man,
God, that's
oh
a great
man.
idea.
That's what I'm saying.
So go search
That's
cameo.
what I'm saying, dude. I still need to update my hacker stories of that. Not really hacker, but like my possible scam story to Reddit.
You have one?
Do you remember where they texted my mom?
Yeah. That's scary.
They texted my mom with a problem that I had, and I was only texting people over like Instagram, and I texted you over Instagram.
An email.
An email. And I emailed my mom too, but they texted my mom using words that I only used for you on Instagram, saying like, help, my phone is broken. Text me at this number instead. Anyway, but that's the end of that story. So let's get into this next one.
Let's go.
My cousin's jealousy destroyed my daughter's confidence, and she won't apologize.
Maybe your daughter should just be a better person.
Oh, I think she is such a good person. That's why the cousin's so jealous.
Does it sound like it?
Anyway, OP is 49 female. Her cousin, who's getting married, is 23 female. The daughter in question, who is the aerialist, is 16 female. I hope this is okay to share. The reason I'm posting is because of my daughter, who's been hurting in the aftermath of a recent performance. I'm sorry in advance for how long this turned out, but any advice from fellow aerialists would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, good. I thought it was just theater, and I was about to be like, oh my gosh, no. Aerialist? You know what aerialist is.
I'm sorry, you're disrespecting the theater?
I have a lot of baggage with theater chicks, okay?
Fair enough. I do
and now
too,
I have to
kinda.
live with one.
I was a theater
These-
boy.
yeah.
I was a little theater rat.
Yeah, me too, man. I was John and the Little Women. John Burke.
Oh, see, we didn't get to do cool plays like that. Or anyway, I could rant about my drama teacher.
Oh, yeah, I know you can.
Anyway, by the way, this comes from user Throw Away the Finances on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, my cousin Dana, not real name, had her wedding 2 weeks ago, and she asked if my daughter could perform at her reception. My daughter, Jane, also a fake name, has practiced silks and lyra for the past few years at a nearby circus studio. And she's also performed with/through the studio at small gigs.
Oh,
So
wow.
Just for anyone watching who's not familiar with what we're talking about, it's like people who do like acrobatics on like curtains almost. Like
Yeah,
they're like
yeah.
they're like big flowy drapes, like pieces of cloth, and they like swing around and do all kinds of flips and
And
spins.
if you don't know, go to the zookeeper at the wedding scene that they crash, and there's a scene of these people doing that.
The zookeeper?
Yeah, with Kevin James.
Anyways, she hopes to continue this into adulthood and become a professional teacher. But this recent incident has shaken her confidence. She has a private Instagram to document her progress and performances, and I only post certain performances on my Facebook, her first gig with the studio, and her first recital, to name a few that we're proud of.
Okay, cool. You're being an awesome mom.
Yes, W Mom. Supportive in a way that your daughter's comfortable with.
Yeah, just like how any mom would.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. how any good mom would do.
Well, my mom's great. She's very supportive, but sometimes she can be so supportive that it makes me anxious, and I have to tell her to like that I love her deeply and that I appreciate it so much, but that it just really needs to like just a little bit less.
Just tone it down a little bit, Mom.
Just a
I love
little
you.
bit less, and it's not your fault. It's on me, but like please.
That's why on Facebook, see what Mom's saying about me.
Some of our relatives saw her performances through my socials, and they watched her perform at her studio's Christmas recital when we hosted Christmas at our home a few years back. Something that surprised her when they visited early to see her. I love how they coordinated that, and Jane said it was her loudest cheering section to date. So that's good, positive memories. Dana was one of the relatives who came up early to see her Christmas recital, and she's always been super supportive. She asked me if Jane would be willing to perform at the reception, and I asked on her behalf. Jane was honored and excited when I did, and we already had a portable rig for her too, though we ended up renting a taller one from her studio. Dana got the idea from a YouTube video featuring an aerialist who performed at a wedding reception, and she showed us while requesting white silks and a white outfit. We scoped out the venue and purchased white silks along with a white costume that Dana approved of, and Jane was really excited throughout. I feel like it's a bold move going white costume at your wedding, right? Like maybe they're trying to do a little artsy thing, but like I hope she doesn't just like flip the script and is like, I don't want you to wear white. Like I can see that happening.
Our fans, out of all of the things that they've been split on with the poll, the one thing that they're always 100% on is not wearing white to a wedding.
Jane even worked on choreography to a song that Dana requested, and she put a lot of time into it, even asking one of her coaches to help her with it. Dana insisted on paying her for the gig despite Jane not expecting to be paid, and she paid her a few hundred. However, Dana has had a change of heart. Oh boy. Jane received a standing ovation after her performance. That surprised her, but we didn't know anything was wrong until Dana went on Facebook a few days later. Dana said she didn't approve of the outfit Jane wore, and that she specifically told her to not wear white. Come on! Look who was right. Go back to you. Him. He was right.
And Dana's the bride, right?
Dana was the bride.
Yep, you never wear white. No matter, even if the bride tells you, hey, wear white, you never wear white.
Clearly.
We have seen stories upon stories where this exact instance has happened. You never wear white to a wedding, no matter what.
Even if they tell you, clearly, because she just flipped the script.
Don't do it. Oh my gosh.
She also said that my husband and I pressured her to have Jane perform and that the performance gave off a quote-unquote unclassy vibe. Lies that my husband and I couldn't believe she was saying.
Oh man, it was like, here's what happened. Here's what happened. You had the most special day of your life. You wore a big wedding dress. You had head to toe looking beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone stole the attention from you for how long do you think?
Not, it's a performance. I can't imagine it's longer than 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, and you couldn't take it.
Because that stuff's hard to do, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's
intense.
intense.
It takes a lot of core.
Yeah.
And you can't handle that. You can't handle
You
can't handle the attention.
You set yourself up to get upstaged at your own wedding, and now you're making it Jane's fault instead of your own fault. So, we sent Dana numerous costume links, and we purchased the one she liked. There was also nothing wrong with Jane's performance. Dana was one of the people cheering afterwards. Jane received nothing but compliments, but I'm disgusted that she had to see that post after all the work she put into her performance.
Dang.
The post also had comments disabled for what it's worth. She wouldn't even let people clap back. Oh, Dana, that was a cowardly move, Dana.
Ooh.
So I called Dana to confront her about her lies, but she didn't pick up numerous calls. I then called her parents, who, like us, had received messages about her post, and they said that Dana was wrong. They apologized on her behalf and said they were also disgusted. Dana's mom also said that Dana vented to her before making her post a few days after the reception. Dana told her that she regretted asking Jane to perform, given the attention, compliments, and cheers she received for it. Her mom also said that she felt upstaged with Jane wearing white and having to hear how good she was. This is like the guy, this is like the meme of the guy riding a bike and he takes a stick and shoves it into the front wheel and falls down. Like, that's what Dana did to herself here.
I saw a video of that yesterday. It was so funny.
Dude, honestly, that's a great stunt. Like, shout out to all the stuntmen who do that. Stuntmen and stuntwomen. But the stunt
Sexist.
people. Yeah.
He just said women can't do that.
It's a great stunt. I didn't. They're stunt people, I guess. You know? Anyway. Dana's parents tried to call her after she made her post, but she didn't answer after their previous conversation ended with her parents telling her she shouldn't be bitter because she specifically asked Jane to perform. Dana's parents reported the post along with us and others, and we've told the truth to those who reached out, along with a post to explain our side and to stand up for Jane. We literally have text proof of sending costume links that Dana chose from. Dana's parents also requested to talk to Jane on the phone to apologize for Dana's behavior, and my husband and I told Jane that Dana was wrong, and that we'll be distancing ourselves from Dana permanently. Dana's parents were surprised at her behavior, and we were too, having seen her grown up. Granted, we only see extended family for Thanksgiving and Christmas because we live far, but other relatives were surprised too, as it seemed to come completely out of left field. Maybe there's a side of Dana we'll never know from our limited holiday/milestone interactions, but our focus is on Jane. We've tried to cheer Jane up by offering to take her to dinner among other activities, but she's been hurting, which is why I'm here. Jane hasn't practiced at home or the studio since the reception, and I don't want to invade her space at her studio by asking or telling anyone there in case she doesn't want anyone to know, which is a good move. Good job. You need to talk to her first before you decide to do that. She asked me to return the white silks and costume after being so excited to receive them. She also said she's going to take an extended break from Ariel to reconsider if she wants to continue. That would be a huge mistake. But we'll get into that later. Let's keep going. Aside from Ariel, she's taking a break from seeing non-Ariel friends too, choosing to pretty much keep to herself. We would appreciate any advice from fellow Arielists on how to lift her spirits. We remind her of how we're proud of her, along with the many compliments she received, but She's asked for space and to not talk about it. We're going to respect that and let time do its thing, but we'll consider any advice from other aerialists who can relate to the time and work she put in. Sorry for this being so long, but we appreciate anyone who reads and takes the time to reply. So we do have an update here. Before I get into the update, we've got the ages. The bride is 23.
Mm-hmm.
The performer is 16. So with the bride being 23 and the performer being 16, and like, you know, they're
probably jealous.
The bride is young. It's understandable that she maybe had that immature response, but I mean, it's not forgiven or excusable, but it's like, it makes sense that this isn't like someone in their 30s or 40s like saying this to switch up like that, you know, probably impulsively was like, oh yeah, well, let's do the white because that's what the video that I saw looked like. And it's like, she wasn't really thinking. And then in the moment she realized, oh, I hate how I feel like I'm being, it's supposed to be me. It's me. This is my day.
Yeah.
And it's fair. It's your wedding. You get to make it your day. But in terms of like how to go about, I think, recovering the confidence, it's like 16 is a real delicate age. She doesn't want to talk about it. I don't think you should just let it go because it could really become a damaging thing.
Yeah.
You don't want this to become like a core memory that like informs how she moves throughout her life from now on.
Yeah.
Because it is completely on the bride for doing the switch up, for lying, for deceiving. And it's because she feels insecure about her own stuff. And she's now projecting that insecurity onto OP's daughter. And, you know, that's not fair to her. But you can't strong arm it because it's just going to make her shut down more. So if you can figure out how to have this discussion about how to, you know, kind of stand 10 toes down, and if that makes sense, or like be like, you know, proud, even if people have, you know, want to talk crap on you or talk down on you, to like be faithful in yourself and have your own beliefs in yourself. Maybe find a different context outside of the performance to have that discussion. You know, you're going to have to maybe do a little tactical conversation talk there, because she clearly doesn't want to talk about the moment. But let's get into the update. Before I get into what's happened since my last post, I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment. 2 pieces of advice really stood out, and I'll get to them shortly. Since my original post, Dana's Facebook post is gone.
Ooh.
I don't know if she deleted it or if enough people reported it for Facebook to remove it, but we're glad it's gone either way.
I was going to say, you repost that video, turn the comments on, and let it do its thing. That's what I would have done.
Yeah. She never apologized to us or Jane or even bothered to call, so our position on being permanently done with Dana stands. My husband and I made a post on Facebook addressing the lies she spewed about our daughter, and we shared photo proof of Dana's texts where she approved of Jane's white costume from the links we sent, not to mention the song choice that she sent us too. Better yet, Dana's mother reposted it on her account, which really surprised me. Dana's mother wrote that they loved Jane's act and that they disapproved of Dana's actions. My husband and I also made sure that Jane was okay with us addressing it on Facebook, and she said it was fine. Again, W parenting move, making sure your child is comfortable with this. Normally, I wouldn't use Facebook to address drama if it's aimed at me, but since this involves a grown adult attacking my daughter, a minor, we felt the need to address it publicly because she disparaged her publicly. And Jane will remember whether we stood up for her or not years from now. I had a chance to speak with Dana's mother since my original post on the phone, and she spoke to Dana again since our last call. Dana reiterated how she regretted asking Jane to perform, but she harped on the standing ovation that bothered her the most. Dana told her that she expected Jane to get some polite applause, but that the overwhelming response really sent her over the edge because she expected the loudest cheers to be when she and her husband entered the reception, but that went to Jane instead. So Dana's just like, I was jealous, really jealous.
That's what it was from the beginning.
Does she think that's an appropriate excuse for her behavior, though? Like, that's absurd. At 23 to be like, but you don't understand. I was really jealous. And I was
really
upset
jealous
that everyone enjoyed her more than me. That's
Who
not
knows,
okay.
man?
That's unacceptable.
I have seen worse.
You got to swallow that pill like an adult and say, all right. And you know what? you cheered and applauded too, if I remember correctly. Dana and her husband also received a great reception when they entered the reception, but Jane's performance did too, and Dana didn't expect it. I mean, heck, even Jane was surprised by the reception she got. She had never received a standing ovation from a solo act before. But Dana's mother believes that if Dana had asked someone to sing who received a similar reception, Dana's jealousy would have been exactly the same. Someone suggested seeing if Jane would be interested in speaking to a therapist, given how hurtful Dana's comments could be for a teen. And Jane said she's open to it so long as it isn't a counselor at school, because as of now, she doesn't want anyone at school or her studio to know about the incident. And she vaguely told the coach who helped her choreograph that it went fine. We will respect her privacy request, as it's her right to control the narrative. Hey, W parents, they're doing everything right about this.
Also,
You know, I can't believe I whiffed. I should have suggested gently advising potentially therapy here.
I am getting the bride behind closed curtains said something to the girl.
What do you mean?
Behind
like
closed doors.
Oh, okay. So not
like, hey, you little shit. You're the worst
Right.
person ever.
Yeah, so it's like beyond the Facebook post, there was another interaction that's really gotten to OP's daughter. Yeah, that
I
you
think
you
that
could be
happened.
right about that.
That's why she's
Maybe
taking it
even
so
just
hard.
an aside. You know, at 16, little things can really, really get at you.
Oh, yeah.
And all it could take is like a sentence or two
Yeah.
that no one else heard, and all of a sudden you just feel like you're
Because
worthless.
you put all your worth and this is what's right and this is what's good, and then someone doesn't validate that, because these are very, you need a lot of validation
Yeah.
at this age.
Mhm.
Like, am I on the right
Yeah.
track? You need to be checking with a lot of people on that.
Yeah, just imagine she does that whole performance, and then like, you know, at the end of it, she's with the bride, and she just lets out a, oh yeah, you don't think that was maybe a little overdone, a little trashy, a little bit, a little unclassy?
Unclassy.
I mean, it was great. I love you, but I'm, you know,
and you shouldn't wear white, you
and
whore.
now she's gonna be like, ooh.
Exactly.
Anyway, but in the same vein, I suggested therapy for Dana to Dana's mother, since her reaction might be a bigger insecurity, and she said that she'd ask.
Ooh.
The other thing someone suggested was the possibility of Dana's husband or anyone making an inappropriate comment to Jane during the reception that made her shut down and not want to see friends or practice days before Dana's post. Look at this guy, knowing exactly. My husband decided to ask her, and Jane said no when he did. If something happened, perhaps she'd be more comfortable telling a therapist with time. But on the bright side, she said she might want to try a different aerial studio because she doesn't want to answer questions on how it went or share a video at her home studio. So we will help her find somewhere new as she asked. We hope she doesn't permanently leave her current studio because she has friends and coaches who are supportive, and she performs with that studio's troops at festivals and gigs. But I personally understand the need to sometimes go somewhere where nobody knows you for a break. And we hope that that will help her. But by the way, we want to know you, and you can know us by joining our live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok. All you got to do is tap on our profile and you're in. And if you want to be a mega fan, you can stream all 4 of them at the same time. But before you go and do that, hold on for a second, because we're going to collect ourselves here and finish the story. One thing that I think you could wait for therapy, or you could try to have this conversation. I feel like it's an important conversation to have as parents with, like, you know, a child who's at this age, right, where they're sort of in between adolescence and adulthood, where it's like, not that it's a game, but it's like you don't want this one moment to
shatter the dreams.
You're not necessarily. I mean, yeah, she kind of shattered the dream because she's not doing it anymore. Like, she got real cold on it, but it's like now she's like, oh, I don't want to have to talk about it because it makes me feel uncomfortable. It makes me feel bad, or like, so I just want to like go somewhere else. And that's like, in a way, like, that's the situation that has happened is what's now holding the power over you. And really the focus point of that needs to be that you crushed it and you had a standing ovation and one person had a problem with it because of their own problems. Had nothing to do with you. You crushed it. The only thing that had to do with OP's daughter was that she did so well that it literally made the bride jealous.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do. You should continue because you're excellent at it. And don't let anybody steal your shine. Like, that's really what it's all about. So trying to have that conversation, if she's not receptive to it, maybe she'll have to have it in therapy. But I feel like that's a real important conversation to have. Like, don't just fold. It's like, oh, you're uncomfortable? All right, we'll put you somewhere else. Because sometimes you got to stay in the discomfort. That's a fact of life. Sometimes you're going to be uncomfortable. And especially if it's something, a positive aspect of her life that's, that's being impacted, you don't want her to just like sort of fold in that moment. But you don't want to push her too hard. Everyone, I think that parents know how to parent their children better than anyone because they have all the context. But in general, that's what I would say. So let's finish this story. She hasn't said definitely to therapy yet, but if she does, we will take her. She still wants an extended break from Ariel in the meantime. But even if or when she goes back, she said she may never want to perform again and would rather do it leisurely. One of the reasons she doesn't want to return to her home studio where she's part of their troupe. She asked if we'd tell her troupe coach that she won't perform with them anymore if it comes to it. And if that's what she wants down the road, then we will. Another note here, it's like, if that's what she wants, that's fine, but she needs to be the one to say it.
Yep.
She needs to be the one to say it. Hopefully time heals this wound and helps her at least keep the friends that she has there, but we can only hope. And that is the end of that story.
Wow.
I mean, I think maybe with some therapy and with a good conversation, I understand wanting to be like, I'm not going to say that they're babying her right now, right? Because it's like everyone's different. And if she is really sensitive, I mean, clearly, I'm going to go out on a limb and say she is very sensitive because
Dana is
this
very
is
sensitive.
clearly impacting her. And who isn't sensitive at 16?
Yeah,
I'm talking about the daughter being I'm done with Ariel. I don't want to go back to here. And it's like, she's been crushing it there. And now this one thing is just like sending her down. But I think
Dana needs to apologize to her.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Once that happens and you clear the air, she can probably come back. But it's going to take time.
It needs to. Yeah. And I think if, I don't know if the daughter was involved in any of the conversations with Dana's parents when they called and apologized on her behalf. But I think if she wasn't, definitely have that be a thing. She needs to hear from outside that she did nothing wrong.
Yep.
But that is the end of that story.
That's the end of that story.
My husband refused to adopt another child, but I did it anyway.
Okay. I don't know about that one.
Seems maybe a little flippant. This isn't like an extra hamburger at the drive-thru. This is a child, a human baby. I, 48 female, married my husband, 48 male, 16 years ago. I have one child, 26 female, from a previous marriage that he has taken responsibility for and taken care of just like one of his own. Just as I have taken care of his 4 children, 20 male, 19 male, 18 male, and 16 female, from his previous relationship.
Okay.
By the way, this comes from Fun Process 9808 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So we had known each other for about 10 years before we finally started a relationship. My daughter was 6 and his children were almost 4, 3, 2, and 8 months. Their mother decided she did not want to be a mother any longer and left him along with the children.
That's, dude, a single dad of 4 kids. That is no freaking joke, bro.
Not at all.
No joke.
We had talked to each other in a friend group, but that was it. One day we decided to start seeing each other romantically, and it worked out. When we decided to introduce each other as boyfriend and girlfriend to our children, my daughter was so excited. My daughter absolutely loved him, and his children loved me. After a year, we moved in together and got married that same year.
Let's go.
I love children, and I have always wanted a big family. Unfortunately, I only birthed one child and never got pregnant again. A young family member was/is having a tough time in her life with substances, and her children were taken by CPS. She asked everyone in our family to take her children until she could care for them again. Not one person would, and I hadn't said anything because I was certain her parents would take her children in, but they didn't. They outright refused and said it was her own doing, which I understand their thinking thinking to an extent, but I don't feel it is her children's fault or doing. Which, let me just say, what do I always say, John?
What do you say, Dakota?
Think of the children.
I knew you always say that. Yeah.
Think of the children.
Think of
I've
them.
never heard you say that.
I literally say it all the time.
I also had no idea what you were going to say. I must admit.
I think of the children.
Well, now I know.
Think of the children. My husband knew I wanted to adopt, so he said to go for it. I stepped up and said I would care for her children, and she was grateful. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have said adopt there, but I wanted to take in the child. I stepped up and said I would care for her children, and she was grateful. She said she knew her children would be taken care of. Unfortunately, she got pregnant again. She was clean at the time and working towards getting her children back. And she took care of herself while she was pregnant. My niece fell into the wrong crowd again and started using when she was close to giving birth. So, of course, CPS said they were going to take the baby. My husband said he would not accept this child and it could go into the system. He didn't care because she should have continued doing what she was doing to get her children back. That seems like a pretty cold and heartless thing to say.
That is a very cold. Like, it's one thing if it's like, hey, honestly, like we've raised what 5 or 6 children at this point. Like, I don't know if we have the capacity. That's like one thing to say. Which, again, is debatably even bad on its own right with that. But him just saying like, oh, well, you know, she did that to herself, so, you know, it's her own fault. It's like, whoa.
The child is blameless.
Blameless.
The child is
Thank you.
blameless. I can understand where he's coming from, and much of my family agrees with him.
Oh.
The caseworker asked me personally if I would take the baby in. I didn't hesitate, and I said yes. I didn't tell my husband until stuff started showing up in the mail from the local foster agency that helps foster families get what they need to take care of the children in their care. My husband blew up. He was livid that I would take the baby in against his wishes, and I tried to explain that I was trying to keep the children together. I was trying to make sure that all of the siblings stayed in the same family, and whatever mistakes my niece made weren't her children's fault. They had no blame in this. My niece did go on a long-term birth control, so she wouldn't hopefully have any more children. My niece is nowhere to be found right now, and her baby is 2 months old. The other children are 3 and 5. My husband said, I will not be spending any of my money on that kid. Everything we have received for the baby has been through the foster agency and charities. We have spent none of his money on the baby.
Whoa.
Oh, this guy, this is a hard situation. I mean, this guy's definitely like, I think the emotional exhaustion that he feels with the niece is just like leaking into like his opinion of like the kids, which is not fair to the kids.
So because
Not fair.
Once again, it could be like, okay, if he's like, listen, I became a single dad of 4, you know, I've done all this stuff. Like, could we figure out another plan, because I don't know if I have it in me to give this child the childhood and raising that they deserve. That is a totally different thing than what he's been saying.
Yeah, the execution on his part is like very much get that kid out of my sight.
Yeah,
because I don't know. It's crazy. We are now certified to be foster parents, and yes, we will get a small amount of money to try and help offset what we spend on the children. All in all, it's not really a lot when you see the amount you actually spend on a child, but it does help. Now, my husband is demanding that I hand over the money that I will be receiving for the baby. I told him no.
Yeah.
Since he doesn't want to spend any of his money on the baby, I need to find a way to make sure that the baby gets what he needs as he gets older. I said I would give him some of the money, but definitely not all of it. He said since he has been taking care of that kid since I brought it home, that I need to give him all the money. I refused. I decided to further my education so I can make a little more money and not rely on him so much. He was agreeable to me going back to school, but insisted that none of the children would help me with caring for the baby since I chose to bring it home.
Dude.
I could figure out the babysitting in school on my own. Why does he? What is this?
What is it to you if the other kid, like, again, I could get like, okay, if it's going to be a lot on you to pitch in certain ways and things like that. But if other people that are not him are willing to, why stop them? Why?
I think like if he was being like, hey, we just can't afford to take care of these kids. And then it's like, where's the rest of the family being like, all right, we need to all pitch in and make sure that these kids don't just like fall into the abyss here because their mother is like making mistakes.
Yes.
None of these kids deserve to just fall through the cracks because their mom has made mistakes.
I've seen a lot of people saying everyone sucks here. Like both, some people can say, oh, I can see where they're both coming from. I can see like the husband's the a-hole, or some of them like, it's like, this is very sticky. I don't
yeah.
like any of this right now.
Yeah, I will say I feel like OP is trying her best to empathize with him, but like, yeah, it's just
I don't know. And it doesn't, yeah. Well, let's keep going.
yes.
I have a friend who helps me with babysitting when she can, usually twice a week. So I do as much of my schoolwork as I can manage when the baby is with her. I'm currently 2 weeks behind in school, according to my schedule of where I would like to be, and it is self-paced. I can't afford to pay her right now. I was going to use some of the money we received from foster care to pay my friend for helping out with the baby, but I forgot to put in the time for our foster care, so we aren't getting paid this month.
Ooh.
That was totally my fault, and I feel so stupid for forgetting, but it is what it is. We will get paid next month. Of course, my husband is angry about this, but there's nothing I can do about it now. As far as most of my family is concerned, they agree with my husband. They say I shouldn't have taken in the baby. Me being me, I couldn't do that to him or his siblings, their family. The rest of the family isn't saying anything one way or the other. I feel so alone and sometimes wonder if I have made a mistake deep down. I know I did make a mistake, though. My child and the children that I have raised will not help me because they don't want to go against their father's wishes. Dad's screwing it up. Dad is screwing it up for everybody. And
For
look,
real.
it's like, honestly, I don't even think she sucks. I think she's an angel for doing this.
I
think
think
in this
so.
situation, she doesn't suck for bringing in this kid. She just realized that it was either her doing it or nobody. So she did like what she felt she had to do. Like, put yourself in her position. You have a family member who just had a baby, and you're the last person who could possibly take them.
Mm-hmm. She is a saint. And I know it seemed like she kind of sympathized earlier, but to me, I read that as she's just truly like, hey, this is my husband. I'm truly trying to understand his perspective. But like, yeah, I think this poor woman is just stretched so thin, and she's doing the right thing here.
Yeah. So that's all fine. I did this and will take care of the baby, all of the children, and on my own and go to school. I will finish all according to my timeline. I'm now thinking that after I'm done with school, that leaving is my only option. I can't live like this alone in a house full of people that I've cared for and raised, given my life to, gave up my career for, just to be abandoned because of one little life.
Mm-hmm.
I got upset with my husband because I'm tired. The baby has some health issues, and his daughter also has some health issues. I'm taking care of both of them on my own while he works. I work as well, part-time for right now, while I'm in school. I was irritable, and he asked me what was wrong. I told him I was tired. He said, well, you shouldn't have taken the baby in. That's your fault. Is he just like this because he's like, we were at the finish line, like, because they have a bunch of kids who are like 18 and 20, so they're like out of the house, I would assume, and then they have like one kid who's 16, and now it's like this guy's just like so selfish that he's like, oh great, another baby? We were almost done with all of them.
If that's the case, then say that then. And not be so, I mean, he's almost like, it's almost as if he like wants to have this vindictive thing of like, yeah, I'm not raising that baby. Like, his perspective is just completely off.
It's very like, well, the baby should have thought about that before it was born.
It's like, it's a baby.
It's literally a newborn child. I feel so alone. I can't even talk to him like I used to. I can't open my heart up to him and talk about what I'm going through because he doesn't want to hear it and says I've betrayed him by taking this baby in and going against what he said he wanted. But you will never, ever betray us by taking yourself into our stream. When we go live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch, just tap on our profile on any one of those platforms and you are in the live.
Oh, yeah.
We do have a little bit more to go here, but like, personally, I don't think that OP sucks because she just sort of like, it, you know, I almost feel like this is like, to make a weird reference here, it's like Chernobyl, where it's like at one point they're just like, all right, guys, there's these levers that need to be pulled and it's not in a great place. And if they don't get pulled, bad things are going to happen. So who's going to go pull the levers?
As in,
and
like,
and
OP's
no one
gotta take care of the baby.
Well, yeah, it
Or
was like
yeah.
either you take care of this kid or you just throw it to the mercy of the foster system.
Yes.
Or the, which is like, I think it's pretty well known that that's not a guarantee of a good, successful, time. There's a lot of
Yes.
problems with that system.
Yes.
And if you can bypass it,
Absolutely do that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely too much. And again, yeah, I think the husband, the kids, like Opie says, like, I am in this house of people I raised and none of them will. And again, I'm not saying that they have to like overextend themselves or adopt the baby or anything like that necessarily, but to like hate on OP like they have been, it's just too far. Everyone's crossed the line from what I've seen.
I wonder how, because it's like the kids seem like they're just afraid of the dad at this point. I can't imagine. I can't
Good
believe
observation.
none of the kids have stepped up and been like, hey, we kind of agree with mom on this, but like everyone's just like, I don't want to go against dad. I don't want the wrath
That's a great point.
of father to come down on my head.
Great point. Something's wrong with daddy.
Well, he's you don't want to cross him, and then shout out again to OP for doing it anyway and being like, no,
Right.
this is what's right. I gotta
Yes.
take in the baby.
Shout out to OP.
I take in the baby. Moving on, let's get to the end of the story where I hope this guy gets flung into a black hole.
Ooh, yes.
Let me say that I understand how difficult it is to take care of a child and how much work it is, especially one with the
Substance.
one who has been born
addicted.
with as short of a stick as this child. But they need love just as much as the next person. They need someone to take care for them, to look after them. Maybe my niece will get cleaned up and get her children back. Maybe she will never come around again. Maybe. Until then, her children are loved and safe and taken care of regardless of what anyone else says or wants.
W.
I want what's best for them. Am I the a-hole for taking the baby in against his wishes and refusing to hand the money over to him? No. Definitely no on the second one, especially after he was like, I want nothing to do with this child. And now he wants to be like, you need to give me some of that money. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, if you were also raising your own children who were like also young babies or toddlers, and you guys were stretched so financially thin that it was literally impossible for it to work, maybe. But I wouldn't even say that you're the a-hole. It's more just like your heart is so big that, I don't know, it's making...
It exceeds your ability.
It's hard to have a heart that big.
Yeah.
Because I would think that you would have to kind of put your own kids first, but you're not in that position right now.
Yeah.
So with that being said, like, I don't think you're the a-hole. I think, if the husband really doesn't want to take care of the kid, then they'd be like, all right, let's come up with a plan then to find this kid a home that will love him and take care of him and will allow him to still be in our family, so to speak. But instead, he was just like, that kid gets what he deserves.
No.
I just can't imagine being that way.
No.
My neglectful sisters treat me unfairly, so I asked for a separate holiday without them.
You know what, OP? You deserve this holiday.
Yeah.
Not them. You.
I, female 44, am the oldest of 3 girls. My parents are wonderful people that I have always loved and respected. I live an hour and a half away from my parents after a job relocation. By the way, this comes from user Competitive Dust 1386 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So I took the opportunity to relocate for a few reasons. It's my dream job. I was going through a divorce, and to distance myself from my middle sister, who is female 40. Growing up, it felt like there were 2 sets of parents, mine and my youngest sister's, female 36, versus the middle sister. It didn't feel as a parent until high school, and even more so after middle sister and I were both married. My mom has always fought middle sister's battles and claims she doesn't want to be involved in the disagreements between the 3 sisters. If she feels middle sister has been wronged, then youngest sister and I get scolded. If middle sister is in the wrong, mom wants to stay out of it. I was always close to my dad, and when I would get upset over the unequal treatment, he would listen to me vent and agreed, but didn't push back against my mom. About 2 years ago, I married my wonderful husband. Congratulations. I met him after I settled into my new city. We were both divorced and childless and found the partners we needed in each other. As we started our life journey together, we found out I was pregnant. We were beyond elated. I struggled with infertility and went through years of treatments with my ex. Originally, we wanted to have a destination wedding in our favorite vacation spot, but the logistics with our 2-year-old just wasn't appealing to me, so we planned a small wedding in my parents' backyard with immediate family and a few close friends. My brother-in-law was officiant, and my youngest sister, his wife, was my maid of honor. I didn't ask middle sister to be in the wedding. She was a bridesmaid in my first wedding. Oh, looks like she wore out her welcome after wedding number 1, huh?
Probably did some bad stuff. Made some bad comments.
A little context about why from my first wedding. I spoke with middle sister about asking youngest sister to be my maid of honor, and she claimed she understood why. Then proceeded to skip my bridal shower because she had too much schoolwork, as she was living in another city and getting her master's, and no-showed to my bachelorette party. Well, I mean, if she's getting a master's degree, that...
What's more important? Family or master's degree?
Maybe don't agree to be the maid of honor if you're focused on the master's degree.
I don't think that's why she didn't. That's why she wasn't part of the stuff.
But she had already agreed. She had already agreed to be that. Fast forward to wedding day, she made a big spectacle about how lucky I was she was there since she had so much homework. Snapped at me that I should have made her my matron of honor, and then stormed out of my reception after youngest sister didn't mention middle sister in her speech. The day after the wedding, middle sister's husband at the time sent a seething email to younger sister about how she intentionally chose activities for my wedding that middle sister wouldn't like, and how younger sister was rude to not talk about middle sister in the speech. When we shared this with our parents, my mom said, "I'm so happy that middle sister's husband stood up for her." This caused a rift between youngest sister and my parents for months. Fast forward to my second wedding, not asking middle sister to be in the wedding was her out. We wanted to enjoy our day, and I'm frankly tired of how our family caters to middle sister's moods and tantrums. My husband and I were very intentional in our attendance. They are the people who loved us and supported us on our journeys to find each other through becoming parents and celebrating the life we built together. During the rehearsal dinner, she sat and pouted during dinner, and a guest overheard her complaining to my mom about not being in the wedding. As a favor to my mom, I had reached out to middle sister a few times leading up to the wedding to involve her and asked if she could keep an eye on the kids the morning of the wedding. She claimed she didn't see the text to my mom when I told her middle sister was unresponsive, yet it was marked red.
You got the literal red receipts.
Doesn't even know how red receipts work. So the morning of the wedding, as I finished up getting ready, my husband was watching the kids and middle sister shows up late. This was after my dad tried to convince me to have middle sister in the wedding that morning, and I told him why I didn't want her in it. It wasn't about her, yet I caved, and she held our baby nephew, the mini ring bearer, as she walked down the aisle. At the reception, my husband and I focused on enjoying the night and our guests. My dad wanted to say a few words, and his speech was 80% about middle sister. And he even asked our friends and family to give middle sister a round of applause for her scholastic efforts.
Oh,
I was
golden child.
I mean, she's getting a master's.
Who
At some point,
cares?
though, I can see that doing that. Not 80% of the speech. I can say making a little quip about like, yeah, and she got her master's recently.
I want to do it. Okay, story time thing. We were at a friend's wedding, a cousin's wedding, and her dad did like the speech, and my sister and I were involved in it. And we're like, what? He was like, I also would like to say my best friend's kids are here, and like I'm so happy they're here, and like Kiana, you're part of the family, we love you. And we were like, this has nothing to do with your daughter's wedding. And Kiana and I were like, why are you bringing us? Why are you involving us? Don't involve us. We don't want to be a part of this right now. We're happy that we're here, but don't.
I think maybe not. Maybe don't mention the scholastic achievements of your other daughter.
Because it's not her wedding.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I was appalled but held it in. Many of our guests remarked on how odd my dad's speech was.
Yeah, that's what everyone said about his speech too. Sorry.
That night, I barely slept, incredibly hurt by the events of the day. For a month afterward, I didn't speak with my parents, and I cried to my husband about how hurt I was and sought counseling to process the events. I eventually confronted my parents, and my dad got angry. My mom hushed him and asked what they could do for us to move forward. I said that we're adults, and like adults, they need to stay out of issues between us and tell middle sister she needs to talk to me about it. Now, on to this past Thanksgiving. My husband was working the Friday through Sunday after Thanksgiving, and my daughter and I drove up for my family's Thanksgiving dinner on that Friday. And we were both feeling a little under the weather from colds, but we made the trip nonetheless. I think we were there maybe 10 minutes when middle sister's partner showed up with some friends. I was unaware that there would be extra people at our Thanksgiving, but I tried to start conversations with them, and they seemed to want nothing to do with me. My middle sister's partner used to be so much more friendly, and the longer she's with middle sister, the more she becomes like her, as in not saying hello when she first sees me or even asking how things are going. I always have to initiate conversation or even a basic greeting. At dinner, I felt like I didn't even exist to anyone in the room. Middle sister had to overtake every conversation, starting or ending with something about her. At one point, I said I was going to check on my daughter and left the room. I went and sat on the couch, not feeling well, but knowing that I wasn't going to stay for the rest of the weekend. My daughter was sad, but I told her I wasn't feeling well, which was true, but I also didn't want to feel singled out when I looked forward to spending time with my parents. I called my husband on our way home and cried to him. I also talked to my dad's sister, who has always supported me and has watched from afar how unfairly I have been treated. And by the way, you can watch from afar
As we treat you very fairly.
to some juicy relationship stories when we go live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch. All you got to do is tap on our profile and you're in the live on any one of those platforms. And if you're watching this, we might even be live right now. So go
Probably.
check that right after we finish this story. Yeesh.
The middle sister is just giving me golden child vibes and me, and it's all about me and doesn't care about anybody else.
Yeah, it definitely seems like very, very hardcore golden child syndrome where it's like, how are you doing 80% of someone's wedding speech and it's not about them? I mean, 80% might be an exaggeration, but to drop that number, it had to have been a lot of talking about her sister.
Let's say, enough about middle sister. Thanks for the wedding.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And it also sounds like she's poisoning her, her toxicity towards you is leaching into the people that's around her as well, just through like osmosis.
Yeah.
Which is trash. But maybe, if you just go get your PhD, you can become the favorite child.
It's easy. Easy as that.
Is a no, that master is not a PhD. Master's before a PhD.
Yeah. Get 2 PhDs.
Yeah, so you need to get a
Double down.
PhD to one up your middle sister. No, I mean, it's just unfortunate how this sort of happens sometimes. There's like a natural favoritism.
It's the
going
favorite.
on
It's the favorite child, and it's gross. And the thing is, she's kind of exploiting it. The middle sister.
Well, at least you have somebody on your side here. Like with your dad's sister, your aunt, your dad's sister, and your dad's kind of on your side too, but he just never does anything about it.
That's not really on your side then.
I mean,
he's on your middle sister's side.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ugh.
Well, let's see how this story ends. Both of them told me that I need to set boundaries with my parents, and both strongly suggest that I set appointments with my parents and say that I have tried for years with middle sister, but I want quality time with both of you, and our daughter deserves the same. We deserve holidays, and the time that we come up to visit is only to see you, not play second fiddle to middle sister and her kids. Am I the a-hole if I ask my parents for separate holidays away from my middle sister?
No. Guess what? You are grown adults. You don't need to be there every single time for the holidays. Maybe a day, but you should bring it up to them. I think you can communicate that with your parents civilly, and if they don't understand, then lo and behold, you're like, all right, well, guess what? That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you never have to be in an environment with someone you like. I mean, well, that's actually not true. Sometimes you do have to be in an environment with people that you actively don't like, and it's just like
sometimes
you
not
just gotta
not
deal
the
with it.
entire holiday though. I think that's what OP's trying to get
Yeah.
across. It's like I don't want to do this entire every single holiday and every single day. It's just gonna ruin it. It's gonna be so exhausting.
Well, honestly, the middle sister sounds like she's on the way out. Just like everything is like no one's ever. She brings people and no one says hi. No one's greeting each other. It's like it's weird.
Yeah.
Middle sister doesn't feel.
I guarantee you the middle sister is gonna just once. I feel like once everything settles, she'll move forward and she's like, I'm too busy. I'm the big shot.
Yeah, she'll be big shot, master degree. She's a problem who might just take care of herself, honestly.
But I also think you should maybe communicate it. But it sounds like OP tried and no one cares, or like
I think you just gotta kind of lock in, focus on you, focus on your life. Don't worry about what these people whose presence is a negative force in your life. It's like they don't matter. Even if it is your middle sister, she's not acting like it.
No.
So
Yeah. It just reminds me of like the kid, like just like bumping like the smaller kid out of the way. And like, me, I'm radiating. Look at me. And you're
I'm the golden child.
you're like, oh, you're so exhausting.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what's not exhausting? This next story. My father is exhausting me, so I want to block him right before the holidays.
He doesn't deserve to be at your Christmas plans.
He's just a little Grinch. To start with some background, I, 28 female, am considering blocking my dad via calls or texts right before the holidays. My dad, while I know he loves me, is incredibly needy, selfish, and doesn't understand social boundaries. By the way, this comes from user Available Ear 7726 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, my parents got divorced when I was 16. My dad changed from a supportive, fun dad to a needy, immature, and irresponsible person. Maybe that's why they got divorced. He doesn't respect boundaries and incessantly contacts people. In the last 12 years, he has been to jail twice for violating a PPO for incessant contact an ex-girlfriend had on him, to which he had me fully believe that was not his fault. Clear to me now, he was manipulating me. Yikes. He has stolen hundreds of dollars from me after asking to use my credit card to pay just one bill. I was 19 and a struggling college student at the time, and he consistently caused me undue stress and forced me to be the parental figure in this relationship. This is going to be...
Yeah, I mean, at 16, this was happening, so it's definitely...
And then progressed to 19, and okay. I have previously gone long periods of time without talking to him due to his behaviors, and most annoyingly, how often he calls and texts me. It is consistently every day. If I don't answer my phone, whether it's because I'm driving, working, studying for my master's program, or spending time with my husband, he will then proceed to call and text dozens of times.
And put those boundaries up, which it seems like you're trying to do, and he's just barreling over them.
I haven't heard that she hasn't said no.
That's true. Have you put up those boundaries?
You have to put up those boundaries because you're just like letting it go to voicemail or like, okay. I've previously had conversations with him about this and explained how inappropriate, inconsiderate, and off-putting it is, but he doesn't seem to retain these conversations. It makes me not want to reply when he calls so much. Like, you can't even give me 1 hour to get back to you before you've called and texted me 2 more times.
Oh my God, he's double texting. That's embarrassing.
No, he's like triple texting
triple
and
texting.
calling. Red flags. He needs a hobby.
He does. Maybe that's what you just need to like get your dad into pottery.
Yeah, or like knitting.
Get him into knitting.
Easy, stitching, something. This all tends to come to an annual festering head around the holidays. For example, this past week on Thanksgiving, we were spending it with my mom. We previously would spend it every other year with him at my grandma's, but since she passed, he does not plan anything for it and expects me to plan everything every year, which I did initially, but have grown tired of. Anyhow, over the course of Thursday through Friday, he called me 17 times. Yes, 17 times and sent me over 15 text messages. That's over 2 days. When he called several times on Thursday, I was with family. I did not answer. I don't know. I would have answered for Thanksgiving.
The thing is that it's kind of a boy who cried wolf situation.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh my God, 17 times. For normal people, you'd be like, is there an emergency? Do I need to respond? Do I need to see?
I wonder what he's calling you about.
Yeah. And I think because we have him calling so many times, it probably is an emergency.
It
He's
definitely,
just trying to
yeah.
take up your time.
I think, you know what? He's just lonely. That's what I feel like. He's lonely. I did not answer, but rather texted him that I was not able to answer as I was in a conversation with my aunts and would be happy to come visit him after dinner with them to have dessert with him. At first, this seemed to pacify him, but he then started sending a series of texts about, I'm not feeling well, and don't bother coming over.
Guilt trip.
Yeah, he's like, feel bad for me even
Like,
more.
don't even come over.
I clarified with him that he didn't want us to visit, and he confirmed. I told him I hoped he felt better and that I loved him and that I would see him another time soon. Within 30 minutes of me ending this conversation, I received several more texts telling me how depressed he is and how sad he is that we don't spend the holiday with him. So he's just wishy-washy now. This is not new behavior for him. It's a common move he makes when I tell him something he doesn't want to hear or he doesn't get his way. So guess what? I ignored the text and spent the rest of the evening enjoying the time with my family. In the following days, he texted and called me a dozen more times, to which I didn't reply. I almost feel like I had to discourage the behavior by not answering. so he doesn't think he can pester me until I wear down and indulge him. I know this sounds harsh, but this is an annual thing. I don't enjoy Thanksgiving or Christmas due to these behaviors and hate going to my hometown because he drives by my mom's house repeatedly to see if I'm in town yet. Then when I am, the floodgates open and the calls begin.
Honestly, I don't know how to set boundaries other than kind of blocking him and like maybe going limited to no contact.
Yeah.
Which is hard because
this is because you love him and you want what's best for him. But I think he's just bored. He's lonely. And then he does the big baby thing where he's like, "Oh, you're not picking up. Don't do it. Don't come." And you're like, "Well, do you not want when we come?" He's like, "No." But yeah, I want you to come over.
Acting very immaturely.
I mean, OP did say it.
Yep.
They are the parental figure in this father-daughter duo. He uses the things I love, like college football, to try and start a conversation, then changes the conversations to self-pity and guilting me for not being around more. I live 2 hours from my hometown for a good reason, being farther from him so he can't show at my house uninvited like he does to my brother. Even worse, around the holidays, he uses my grandma's death, his mom, as a tool to manipulate me and exploit my grief regarding this to try and get me to answer his calls. I think, OP, you need to just make a clear list of, 1, that's messed up.
Yeah.
That's really messed up. 2, you gotta just set some boundaries. I mean, obviously not doing anything should be sending a clear message, but
maybe it's like, I don't even know if this will work with him because he seems, to keep pushing these boundaries, but maybe it's saying like, if you keep calling me or you keep doing this, I
will
to block you.
That's the best thing.
Yeah. I don't even know if it'll work, but
why is he not calling your brother?
maybe OP's better.
Maybe. My grandma has been passed for 5 years now, and I recognize fully it still hurts him too. But playing on my feelings is not fair. Even worse, he uses the fact that I'm a nurse to manipulate me. He has some health problems and will call me or text me leaving cryptic voicemails saying he's not feeling well or something is wrong health-wise. Then when I call him to follow up, he seems to have forgotten he even said those things and miraculously is fine. And you know what's miraculously fine for you guys is to join us live 3 p.m. PST every weekday on YouTube, on Twitch, on TikTok,
Facebook.
Just tap our profile. There is a little bit left to the story, so before you tap our profile and check, which we are probably live right now, stick around, see what else OP has to say, and see what else we have to say.
I think if you can maybe set that like hard line of, if you keep doing this, I'm going to block you.
Yeah.
And if it is something that is like really bothering you and really kind of a detriment to your life, maybe it is just taking some time and being like, I got to spend time away from you, Dad. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. It just seems like it's just one thing that you want to complain and just complain and just be sad. Dad, you gotta just go get a hobby. Go get some friends. Go meet some people. Go out in the world.
Go get a hobby.
Go out in the world.
Go start learning about World War II. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got to have some friends or something like, oh, this is Bob. Go hang out with Bob.
Do it.
I don't know.
But let's finish the story.
Let's finish the story. After a long discussion with my husband, he thinks it would be most healthy for me to block my dad on the phone. He's already blocked on social media due to leaving dozens of comments on things. While I agree with him, I find it so hard to do as he is still my dad. And with Christmas coming, blocking him would likely head to a lot of family drama. And it would make Christmas with that side of the family very awkward when attending. Though his siblings and my cousins know what he's like, so they wouldn't blame me. I'm just exhausted with it. Every time he calls or texts, my whole mood changes, and I'm instantly anxious and aggravated. I feel like I need to finally set this boundary, but I don't know. So, would I be an a-hole if I blocked my dad right before the holidays? I think do it after the holidays.
I was going to say, I feel like just so we don't have to, worry about anything, just do it after the holidays. Just give it a week. I mean, I guess it depends on when this story came out, but it's a week from now, so I think maybe just...
Yeah, I would say do it into the new year. That's your New Year's resolution.
Yeah, you're like, bye, Dad.
Dad, my New Year's resolution, limited contact with you. Sorry. It sucks. You got to give him a list and tell him, like, hey, this is not right. And if he doesn't follow that list, block him. I think that's what you need to do.
But that is the end of that story.
My parents neglected me and my kids, and I don't think things will ever be the same.
What happened?
So let's start off by saying I, 29 male, now have 3 kids with my wife, 23 female. Biologically, the third one is mine, but I treat the other 2 as my own since I'm the only dad they've ever known.
Okay.
So he's got 2 bonus children.
I like that.
By the way, this comes from user Jarunyan on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I met my now wife when she was pregnant with our second kid. The oldest is 3 female, middle child is 2 male, and 2-month-old female. The bio father has been out of the picture since our oldest was 1, so she doesn't remember him. So we date, then get married. I welcome them into my life just as they welcome me into theirs.
Aw.
It's so sweet. Things go well. My family is nice up front, but I do get a small pushback from her side, but that's because me not being the bio dad, they have reservations about me having a say in our parenting. Grandparents, right? That has since changed, and they accept it when I parent them my way, since my wife had told them off about it. Now with my family, I have a niece and a nephew, which is cold since I thought they were going to hang out more since they are about the same age. But my parents so favor my niece above all of the kids.
Golden children.
The golden child syndrome. They always take her for the night or spend time with her. So when my daughter asks to stay, I get the next time answer, or we can plan a play date with you and niece. Of course, this never happens. They continue to only take the niece. So I voiced my concerns before to my sister about it, and she defended my mom, saying she doesn't take niece that often. Regardless, it bothered me that she didn't keep her promises to her, even when we visit and my daughter asked to stay. Still, the same next time, this time answer. So I text both my parents in a group chat asking about why they don't ever take her like they promised, since she's a loving girl and wants to be with them. Remember, they are the only grandparents they know on the dad's side. I never got an answer for 2 weeks. Nothing, zip, zilch. So later in the family group chat, my sister asked a question and got an answer immediately. So I let my frustration get the best of me and speak out, asking if I can get an answer to my question. They respond with, "What question?" So I start my rant.
Oh boy.
My mom drops out of the group chat and messages me about how rude and inappropriate it was to have said that in front of everyone to see, and how I should have asked them separately. When I said I did, they shifted blame to not seeing it due to getting new phones last week.
Don't you transfer the number? Oh, okay. Anyways.
Just a lame excuse.
I had to transfer 3 service providers for me, my brother, and my grandma, and it was pretty easy.
Well, to be fair, now that you know that I say that, my grandparents cannot send a text message for their life. Some of them can. I have a handful of grandparents.
Oh, good.
And there are some that are completely incapable of sending a text message.
Oh, no.
I asked if they were sure, and she doubled down on it. So I responded with, "I sent that message 2 weeks ago." No good answer was given for that. Instead, it was a bunch of deflection about how I embarrassed her and I'm an a-hole, and that's why no one wants to talk to me or have anything to do with me. I try to stay on track, saying it's about my kids being treated like a real family and it's not about me, but she half-heartedly apologized and said, "I'm sorry, even though I'm not the only one who should be." So I cut them off and said, "Fine then, my family isn't your family." And I haven't seen them since. My dad even came at me saying, "I don't even recognize you anymore." So I snapped back with some good reasoning. He should know better how I feel more than anyone. My dad is my stepdad who stepped up and took care of us, and we had a really good relationship. I never referred to him as my stepdad when meeting people, just as my dad. So the fact my kids got treated differently really bugged me when he didn't back it up.
Parents are not taking ownership of any of the wrongdoings.
Yeah.
And OP's stuck with all these feelings and emotions.
Yeah, OP's very overwhelmed by the situation, which
Yeah.
is fair because there's a lot of emotions and emotions run high sometimes.
Yeah.
After reading a couple of responses, I want to clarify something that I didn't drop in the original posting. So, my third newborn is mine biological and had received more attention than my 2 older kids.
Okay. I see you.
Now it's starting to click together as to all of the pieces of the puzzle are fitting together now.
Here we go.
Also, one of the statements from the parents was, "We aren't comfortable having them over alone because we don't know them as well."
And she's talking about the first 2 kids that aren't OP's and his wives. They're talking about those 2 kids. The bonus kids.
The bonus children are the bonus kids. Come on. So my argument to that is that they are 3 and 2 in age. Yeah. They're like, what?
Why are you beefing with a 2 and 3-year-old?
Yeah, I don't really know them. Bro, I don't know if you can bring those people over, dude. I don't really know them like that.
You know, friends are like, we don't really know you. That's what they are with the kid. Like, we don't really know them.
Yo, I don't know this 3-year-old. What am I supposed to talk to him about? Baby food?
Yeah, dude. Come on. I'm all about stocks and like what's happening in the world.
Like, how's he going to talk about the Pan-Pacific market with me, bro? He's
too worried about like his next meal.
I don't even know. Yeah, it's good gaga.
Like, get out of my face with all that.
What was? I can't remember the name of the sketch show. You remember? It was like the guy who's like, "Yo, why are you looking at me, dog?" And it's just like a baby. And he goes like, "Yo, Xander, get your boy, dude."
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah. That's what it's giving.
That's what's going on right here. They want to bond and spend their time with grandparents. It's not their fault that they were born outside of me, but they don't know that since I've been there since the beginning anyway. Side note: I didn't drop originally. When I had my third kid, I got the comment of, "How does it feel to finally be a dad?"
Get out of my face. Go away.
It's a good thing OP had the blueprint of his stepdad, who he referred to as his real dad, to like be able to be there as a father for these kids.
I'd be throwing hands.
My response was, I already am a dad. Update number 2. I'm surprised to see a few people bring up inheritance and such.
Oh.
I could care less about material things. I just want my kids to be loved the same or at least shown similar affection. Some people seem to miss that I have a newborn with the same woman and is my bio kid. And they treated my bio kid better than my 3 and 2-year-old. And on the few occasions, they even referred to the kids as my wife's kids or the bio father's kids, which I corrected on the spot.
That is so messed up on so many levels.
It really is. And it's like, there's only, as soon as you address that the first time and have it fixed, I don't think there's any reason for that to happen more than once.
Absolutely not.
It's a choice at that point, which is similar to like a choice that you can make, which is joining us every weekday at 3 p.m. PST when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch. All you got to do is tap our profile and you're in, and we might even be live right now.
Yes.
But before you check on that, let's finish this story. I really hope that the stepdad doesn't get completely blocked out because of this, you know?
I think he's mature enough, and I think he's already come to the conclusion, like, forget these people. If he does get excluded from his family, he's like, they're not even worth having as family anyways.
Yeah.
That's how I feel as this mind space. Because these people, they're being really weird about all this.
Well, I feel like the issue with the dad, like everybody else for sure, like everyone else is like, what? But I feel like the dad is like, hasn't been actively doing it, right? Mm-mm. It's more like he's a bystander.
Mm-hmm.
And he's wondering why he's not standing up and saying something.
Yeah.
I just hope he completely, like, going low, no contact totally makes sense if they're going to continue to like make your kids feel like they're others.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, it just hurts a little bit. And I'm sure it hurts for OP too to like lose that kind of bond that they had with their dad.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
Being the stepdad and everything.
Ugh.
Update number 3. I've seen several comments speaking to they need an organic relationship. They've had over 2 years to build that. If we didn't ask to come over to visit them, they were never seen. We each have our own lives, sure, but you can't bond if you don't try. You can't have a relationship if you don't make effort both ways, so I made the choice easier. Get to know all or none of my kids. Also, it's very clear to me that many of you were never in a situation of being a stepchild or step parent, and it shows. Well,
talking to all the haters.
Yeah, I like that the final note. To address my haters, to all the people who asked me what I would do if I didn't win, I guess we'll never know.
And OP's spending on business on every single ground, with the parents, with the haters, with the online people, everyone. I love it.
Setting a firm boundary, being like, it's all or nothing. You don't get to just pick one and then make my other kids, who are my kids, feel like crap.
That's the end of that story.
And the end of that episode.
So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you,
and see you tomorrow.